file a complaint with HUD. Go to hud.gov/fair housing. That's hud.gov/fair housing. And if you fear for your safety, call 911. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my run in PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! Broadcasting live from the Eagle Leasing Storage Studio. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Canes light the lamp here.
Warm and very muggy as of this midday Monday. Temperatures in the 80s to start with highs near 90 this afternoon. Maybe a stray shower or storm late afternoon, although chances lower than yesterday. Overnight lows upper 60s, highs mid-90s tomorrow afternoon. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 353 points today to 52,229. This hour of The Drive is brought to you by Law Tigers. Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call Law Tigers before you call your insurance company. Case evaluations are always free, and you don't pay a dime until your case settles. Law Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers.
Mr. McKenna, we would like to draft you to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I expect anything and everything from Carolina this week. Like, they are not satisfied. Not satisfied.
One-timer. Score! Beautiful passing and a blast from John Carlson.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
We have a new Carolina Hurricane. Will that Carolina Hurricane be a Carolina Hurricane in about, 48 hours? And it's a name we didn't expect. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly, not just this afternoon, but this entire week. Max Gorham producing the show, so Max sits in for me as I sit in for Tim. And Max, just because the NHL season ended, the Stanley Cup was won by our Carolina Hurricanes, just because all that happened, just because we had a parade, doesn't mean it stops. Doesn't mean it stops at all. The NHL draft was this past Friday and Saturday. I was actually there on Friday at the campus of Lenovo, not Lenovo Center, but the actual Lenovo campus where the executive offices were for Lenovo, where the Carolina Hurricanes had their war room. And lo and behold, Eric Tulsky was cooking up a trade, and that's where we get started with the Big Three at 3.
Number 1.
The Big Three at 3 presented by Maynard Service Company, plumbing, electric, heating, cooling, you name it. Anything for your house, they can help take care of it. MaynorServices.com, MAYNOR Services.com. So, Max, a few things Carolina Hurricanes related that we learned on both Friday and Saturday. As you just mentioned the name John Carlson, defenseman for a long time with the Washington Capitals during this past season at the trade deadline, was traded to the Anaheim Ducks. He was in the final year of his contract, so gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks at the trade deadline, helps them in the playoffs, gets to the second round before they lose to the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a pending unrestricted free agent. The Carolina Hurricanes said, you know what? Let's see if we can jump ahead of the game. Let's see if we can get ahead of the curve. Let's go see if we can actually sign John Carlson now. Well, you can't do that technically till July 1st, but the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday traded the 192nd pick in the draft, literally the dead last pick in the 6th round. Dead last pick. They traded that pick along with the prospect that, let's be honest, none of us never heard of, to the Anaheim Ducks for the rights to sign John Carlson. All right? So just basically they signed for his rights. So right now, Carolina Hurricanes have exclusive negotiating rights with John Carlson up until July 1st. Will that signing happen? We don't know. Reportedly, John Carlson's asking for about $10 million a year. I don't know if Carolina's willing to do that. We'll see. But at least you gave yourself the chance, right? At least you gave yourself the opportunity before anyone else could. And by all reports, the Carolina Hurricanes were on the list of very few teams that John Carlson is interested in signing with this offseason. So guess what? You gave up a 6th-round pick and a prospect no one ever heard of for the chance to sign a guy super quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
We'll dive deeper into the John Carlson thing coming up, but my ultimate takeaway on it, it's basically a free roll. You
exactly.
Gave up effectively nothing, and no disrespect to, was it Kyle Masters, I think was the prospect? And
yeah, him.
The last pick in the 6th round of the NHL draft for a chance to sign a very good, experienced right-handed defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't work out, not going to kill you.
It's not. It's not going to hurt you at all because, again, it just allows you to jump ahead of the line. That's all it did. Allowed you to jump ahead of the line. The second piece of news that we saw from the Carolina Hurricanes this weekend, we actually learned this Friday night, and I was, again, sitting there, draft room, war room, on Friday evening. Here as we continue on with the Big Three of Theory here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. A couple of Carolina Hurricanes had off-season surgeries right after the parade, right after the Stanley Cup. Eric Robinson, forward, knee surgery, out roughly 6 to 8 weeks is what general manager Eric Tolsky told us. And then forward Seth Jarvis. This was the big news. The shoulder injury that he's been dealing with, if I remember correctly, torn labrum, also if I remember correctly, a rotator cuff injury with that. He had surgery as well. He's out 4 to 6 months. Here's the thing when it comes to surgeries. You just don't know. You just don't know. Now, Eric Robinson, 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, you're looking at, from the time of the surgery, end of July, beginning of August, he's good to go. Training camp isn't until the latter part of September. You anticipate that he's going to be fully ready to go when training camp starts. Seth Jarvis, on the other hand, 4 to 6 months. You're looking at, again, the procedure's has already happened. So assuming that there are no complications from the surgeries, there's no needed follow-up procedures or anything that has to go into it, you're looking at beginning of November to possibly January 1 for Seth Jarvis. And we'll dive more into that at 3:45 today in terms of what that can mean, not only for the Carolina Hurricanes in the short term, but also how that there's a long-term impact about who could possibly fill in that role until the time comes. I actually asked Eric Tolsky about one specific player in that regard. We'll, again, have that conversation at 3:45. That's number one of the Big Three at 3. Let's get to number two.
Number two.
Max, the more we keep hearing about scandals and sports betting in sports, it's sports betting in sports, but scandals of sports betting involving athletes, it's starting to become a little bit more of a common thing. And then this is actually one of the intentions of sports gambling. And the intentions of having regulated sports gambling when it comes to sports books, because they can track abnormalities and irregular bets, I guess you could say is the proper term. So to get to the crux of it here, former UNC basketball star Ed Davis, who was part of the 2009 national championship team for the University of North Carolina, was arrested, indicted on charges of basically just betting on sports and like fixing games or help fixing lines. So the story is that former NBA player Malik Beasley, who by the way apparently is in rough financial shape, Malik Beasley was in certain games during late in his career back, if you go back to the 2024 season, was basically shaving, lack of a better term, shaving points or intentionally hitting the unders on his prop bets. So, for example, in a game, the line was set by sports books that over under 3.5 rebounds in a game for Malik Beasley. Well, Malik Beasley was intentionally making sure that he was below that number. So he came in at 3 rebounds. So people would bet the under on his numbers. That way they could win on these big bets. And apparently, the gatekeeper of all this was Ed Davis, the former UNC basketball player, who again won a national championship with UNC back in 2009. So Davis was arrested, in custody. That all happened today. This is actually on top of other things that happened with players like Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, about point shaving or intentionally like getting, quote unquote, getting hurt during games so unders would hit on prop bets and those kinds of things. Ed Davis is now part of this. Ed Davis is now part of this. So this is from a text message from back in December 2023 from Ed Davis to Malik Beasley, talking about how he was basically the person that was running this thing. And the term was used, gatekeeper. A text message from Davis to Beasley reads, quote, only way you can beat Vegas in sports betting. Only way you can beat Vegas is sports betting. And apparently Malik Beasley needed money. He's been charged or been sued by like his former landlord for an apartment for missed payments on his rent, those kinds of things. Owed money to like a marketing agency for money that was fronted to him. So Malik Beasley was in terrible financial shape. And by my understanding is that Ed Davis was fronting him a lot of money to help cover some of his losses. Well, in order to recoup some of that money back, this is where the point shaving and all that kind of stuff comes in. So anyway, former UNC basketball player, Ed Davis, arrested. Max, not a good look.
No, not a great look. It's kind of funny, though, in like some of these released court documents or like the description of these conversations, Ed Davis was he was smart enough, at least in this, like trying to get the other kind of co-conspirators to talk on Snapchat where the messages like disappear.
Yeah.
And they were all just saying like very incriminating things over text message. And then he leaves the group chat after somebody talks about moving lines and betting $30,000 or $40,000. And they're like, oh, why'd he leave? He's like, to get that off his phone. They're all still in this group chat talking about this operation they were running, which I thought that was pretty funny. But
it's terrible.
It's unfortunate, and I think this whole thing is going to be far from the last scandal like this. I don't know how far it has to go before either some serious regulations come through or we're definitely too far gone to the point where like sports betting is going to be legal in the kind of way it is now, like for the foreseeable future. I don't see them completely flipping that at any point, but at some point there will be some kind of regulation coming down to help curb these kind of scandals involving athletes in the games.
Well, this is the reason why sports books exist, is because when you all of a sudden just get an influx of like, wait, why are we getting $100,000 bets on a Malik Beasley under a certain number of rebounds? Like, why? Like, red flags pop up, and then all of a sudden, wait, these red flags are popping up, and then all these bets are hitting. It's like, wait a second, this isn't normal. And then that's what the sports books are catching. And now you got Ed Davis, former UNC basketball star with a national championship to his name, who made over $48 million gross in his career, arrested, indicted on gambling case. That's what it is. All right, that's number 2. Let's quickly get to number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 here in the Big 3 at 3, presented by Mainer Service Company. Max, the Charlotte Hornets made a trade, and they made the trade we all expected them to make. And we're all like, wait a second, this is actually a good move. Miles Bridges gets shipped out, who, by the way, is on an expiring contract, which is weird. Speaking of NBA, expiring contracts are like currency. It's like gold in the NBA. But he gets shipped out along with a 2029 first-round pick, gets sent out to Phoenix. Grayson Allen is coming back to the state of North Carolina as part of the deal. A couple others. Max, I think you're a big fan of this move, actually.
Yeah, not only because I think they've been needing to move on from Miles Bridges for a while. I don't love his shot selection. His defense is not very good. Obviously, a myriad of off-the-court issues to go with it as well. This helps as they're kind of resetting the culture to what they've kind of branded as Hornets DNA. But like the value back, too, you get 2 good three-point shooters adding to a roster that's full of great shooters, and that kind of is the system that Charles Lee and the coaching staff is relying upon. It's kind of a team full of three-point shooters with some really good offensive rebounders up front. And then the value in it as well, they get back a 2033 unprotected first-round pick while sending out a 2029 pick that was heavily protected. It is like least favorable of Charlotte, Utah, Cleveland, and I think there's another team that's it's least favorable out of that whole group. So there's more valuable. Obviously, again, it's way in the future. We can keep making the jokes about the 6th or 7th graders that are going to be drafted with those picks.
Hey, let's be honest, this is what we're talking about now.
But the value in terms of like what that will eventually convey into, whereas that 2029 pick is going to be like 28 overall or whatever it is. Who knows how good the Phoenix Suns are going to be in the 2032-33 season.
Who knows?
Probably won't be a single player on that roster that currently is on their team. And maybe it could be even a bunch of players that still aren't in the NBA at this point. So there's good value there from Jeff Peterson. I like the move, continuing to build the team around the identity they want and helping kind of overturn the culture as they try to succeed.
Those 2033 picks. Those 2 unprotected picks they got in 2033. Man, there's some kid out there whose voice hasn't cracked yet who's going to be a future Charlotte Hornet.
There's some twins or something in that age group right now that look pretty good, apparently.
It's kind of wild. That's the Big 3 at 3 presented by Mainer Service Company here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorham producing the show. The Carolina Hurricanes are not done. Just because they won doesn't mean they're done. And why a move that they made on Saturday can have a big-time trickle-down effect for other moves that are going to be taking place. We'll discuss that in 2 minutes.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The biggest tournament on the planet is ongoing and will be here until the middle of July when we declare the world's best football team. And here's the deal. Everybody likes to get involved in some way, shape, or form. You like to place a bet. You like your favorite player. But what happens if your favorite player, the one you have money on, gets subbed out in the 70th minute? The guy who comes on, and it happened the other day, the guy who comes on, he scores the goal. You still win because of FanDuel's Super Sub. If your player is subbed off, your bet stays on the pitch. FanDuel.com/local to get started. FanDuel.com/local. You shouldn't lose your bet if your favorite player takes the rest of the game off. And you won't with FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. Ordering Bojangles Bow Bites is the easiest choice you'll make today. The bite-sized hand-breaded chicken is fried to crispy perfection, making it perfect for sharing, snacking, or when you're on the go. Just don't call it a nugget. The only hard part is choosing from our 6 dipping sauces. We've got a sauce for every kind of craving, from our creamy house-made ranch to our sweet and spicy peach honey pepper sauce. It all depends on what kind of mood you're in. Head to your nearest Bojangles today and discover the dippable, shareable, and craveable Bow Bites. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to head on over to Bojangles to try Bojangles' new Bow Bites. Bite-sized hand-breaded chicken fried to crispy perfection. On the go, they're perfect for snacking or sharing. Dipped in your favorite sauce like creamy house-made ranch or peach honey pepper, they're the perfect way to satisfy your craving for flavor and value. Try Bojangles' new Bo Bites. It's an easy choice to make when it's Bo time.
One-timer, score! Beautiful passing and a blast from John Carlson.
Right now, John Carlson, who spent his entire career, with the exception of like 2 months of his career with the Washington Capitals, is currently a Carolina Hurricane. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorham producing the show here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. The Carolina Hurricanes traded for the rights of defenseman John Carlson for a prospect as well as the last pick of the 6th round of this past draft, this past Saturday, for the rights to negotiate with John Carlson before free agency hits on July 1st, which is this coming Wednesday. Now, just because the Carolina Hurricanes traded for defenseman John Carlson, at least the rights to negotiate with him, first of all, real quick, does not mean a deal is done, and it doesn't mean that a deal will get done, but it gives them the chance for the Hurricanes to sign him before anyone else does. Elliot Friedman, Sportsnet, on his 32 Thoughts podcast. Just like all of us, we didn't see the Carlson trade coming.
Well, it's interesting. I think Anaheim wanted to keep him, and I heard Carlson's ask was around $9 million out there. And I didn't know if that was because he preferred to come back east. First of all, like John Carlson, he's a great player, and if someone wants to give him like 2 times 9 or 2 times 10, I'm good with that. But I didn't see that coming initially.
None of us did. None of us did. We actually talked about this last week about how the Carolina Hurricanes were linked to, all right, what about Zach Werenski, the defenseman from the Columbus Blue Jackets, or Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender from the Winnipeg Jets? Carolina linked to both of these teams. Apparently, there have been offers and discussions and all this stuff taking place. And then all of a sudden, once again, Eric Tulsky just does the move that no one expects. Just does the move that nobody thought was going to happen. No one thought they were going to get Nick Delorier, an enforcer at the trade deadline this past year. That's what they did. No one thought the Mikko Rantanen stuff was going to happen the first time, nor the second time, or Taylor Hall. No inclination of those things whatsoever. But let's actually get into specifically what John Carlson, or who John Carlson is, and what he can provide for the Carolina Hurricanes if he does sign with the team. We're waiting for the breaking news. What does Carlson provide? He's won a Stanley Cup in 2018 with the Washington Capitals, which, by the way, beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. He scored 2 goals, had 2 assists, and was a +2 in the Cup final, again, against Vegas. And he's played in 149 playoff games. In that Cup run in 2018, John Carlson had 5 goals and 15 assists in 24 games. 4 goals and 8 assists on the power play. So he's been there and he's done that. So he knows what it's like to win a cup. But he also understands how difficult it is to win right after. Again, they won that cup in 2018. We all remember the Carolina Hurricanes Washington Capitals series in 2019, right? When the Canes won in 7. The double overtime win. Justin Williams to Brock McGinn out in front in double overtime. So we all understand that. John Carlson is someone that can still play. He's 36 years old, but he can still skate. He's right-handed. He's great on the power play, and he can be a massive asset in that regard. He won't be needed to skate 23-plus minutes a night like he did for, well, pretty much of his career. And he could skate a top pair alongside Jacob Slavin, or if you want to move him further down the lineup, guess what? You have that flexibility when you have guys like Jalen Chatfield and Sean Walker as well. Now, the question is, 2 times $9 million a year, is that worth it? Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic and TSN up in Canada, one of the insiders, apparently the ask is at least 2 years at $10 million per year. Elliot Friedman, do the Canes think he's worth that much?
They pride themselves on they get you for value or they get you before you explode, right? And so we'll see what happens there. But I can't handicap it, the likelihood on Saturday night or on Sunday night Pierre LeBrun reported that Carlson wants $10 million. The Hurricanes have never had a $10 million a year player, and that doesn't mean they won't do it. They will pay for value. I'm curious to see, do they think that is the kind of value that they want to do? And if they don't sign him, I can see them doing some creative things with it.
Okay. That's the big thing. Will they sign him to that much? The Carolina Hurricanes have $11.1 million in cap space right now. And the only thing they really have to worry about in terms of adding to their roster as it's currently constructed is making sure that if you intend on keeping Alexander Nikishin, that you sign him to a contract, and then also figure out your seventh defenseman, veteran, with bringing back Mike Riley, something along those lines. That's it. That's all you have to do. So in my opinion, if the Carolina Hurricanes sign John Carlson, then to me, Alexander Nikishin is out the door in a trade.
Oh, it would certainly spell that.
Yeah, absolutely. Figure. There are things that the Canes have to take into consideration when it comes to Alexander Nikishin in the long term. Not just this upcoming year, but again, look at the long term. What player do you think he will be in terms of his ceiling? Now, is he that combination of Bobby Orr, Jacob Slavin, and Ray Bourque that some fans have made him into be, like have built him into like he's this god? Which trust me, we've seen him online. We've seen it in our comments on YouTube. We've seen it in our live chat. We see it online. Trust me, I see it. No, he's not that. He has a bunch of physical gifts, and he's still adjusting, and he's still learning, and he could take a big leap going into year 2. But as Eric Tolsky told us on Friday night, the Hurricanes can still get better, and they will find any way they can to do so.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of room to improve. I think the team, when it was playing its best, was incredibly hard to beat. And down the stretch and into the playoffs, they were playing very, very well. But there's always room to improve. There's always spots we can get better. Our goal is to build a team that is good enough that even when we're not playing our best, even when we have some injuries, we still can win the cup. This year we were fortunate. We were playing our best. We were healthy. Things went well for us. Need to keep taking steps to get to where we can be favorites year in and year out, no matter what comes our way.
That person coughing in the background, that's me. Now, if the question that Eric Tolsky has to answer when it comes to Alexander Nikishin, and not only is what his projection is going to be, but what is the contract that Alexander Nikishin is asking for? Now, there are some numbers apparently being floated around that it could be anywhere of $8+ million per year, which would make him which would make Alexander Nikishin their highest paid defenseman. Now, if that is too high, they feel like that's not the value that we're looking for. You can maybe see if you could try to get a bridge deal done for a couple of years, but then the number's only probably going to go higher if he continues to get better. So now is the time to sell high, especially when you have the resources in your pipeline. And how much do you, as Eric Tolsky, trust your organizational depth, and about how much you can also make sure that the locker room is stable enough to make these kinds of moves? Because there is the real human element to all of this. Alexander Nikishin will not get traded for just a bunch of picks and spare parts. That's not going to happen.
Which is apparently was the base of the New York Rangers, who were pretty heavily interested in them. Mm-hmm. But it was going to be around picks, centered around picks.
Kick rocks.
And this is not a team that's building for the future. This is a team that just won the Stanley Cup and wants to continue to improve now.
I'm not going to give up Alexander Nikishin for a bunch of picks and futures. I'm not going to do it. And Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts, which dropped this morning, Carolina wants a player back.
Carolina has Nikishin out there. That's definitely true. I heard the Rangers made a pitch for him pretty hard, but Carolina, at least until this happened, and I don't know if this changes anything. I honestly don't know. They didn't just want picks back for Nikishin. They wanted a player, and a player that was helpful.
A player that's helpful. Now, that player could be helpful in a few different ways. There's still some needs for this Carolina Hurricanes team. I still think they need to have someone that could take right-handed draws on the defensive end of the ice. They need to have a right-handed sentimental that can, again, on the defensive side of the ice, especially when you're killing penalties, you need to have someone that can do that. That's something that needs to be brought in, but you're not going to trade Nikishin just for that. Now, okay, again, could be part of a larger deal. Could be part of something bigger. Let's also keep this in mind, too. If the Carolina Hurricanes don't sign John Carlson, that's okay. Because you gave up nothing for him. Let's be honest, you gave up nothing for him. It's like a scratcher ticket. It's all it is. It's a scratcher ticket that you barely paid money for. Hey, I'm going to hit big. Otherwise, okay, it's fine. And you know what you can do if the Carolina Hurricanes are trying to negotiate with John Carlson? And if it doesn't work out, well, then you know what you do? You could trade his rights to another team. Recoup the 6th-round pick that you gave up. Why not? You're in control right now if you're Carolina. You put yourself at the front of the game. That's the thing that matters most. Now, I'm curious to see, again, there is a trickle-down effect to all of this. If you're going to sign John Carlson, that really limits what you have. Do you buy out Jesperi Kotkaniemi? The window to do that closes tomorrow. Are you trying to trade Jesperi Kotkaniemi to clear up some space? Well, if you do so, well, then guess what? I need to find some center depth that could be a 13th forward on my team. Those are all things. So, again, there is a trickle-down that comes with all of this. Or if you don't sign John Carlson, then guess what? You can go back to possibly making some of the other moves that you were negotiating already. I love the aggressiveness by Tulski and the Carolina Hurricanes in this regard. I genuinely do. They have to do anything and everything in their power to make their team better, not just this upcoming year, but down the line as well. They are clearly seeing themselves in a championship window. Obviously, they just won the first one. They got a lot of young players, but also you got some of the guys like Jordan Martinook, Jordan Stahl, Shane Gostisbehere, Jalen Chatfield. Those guys are in the final year of their contracts. Take advantage of this window now while you can. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show. We're in summertime, basically. School's out. Not really a lot to hit on the Dean's List, but we will hit on some winners and losers next.
Hey, it's Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry. We have a holiday coming up. You know what you should do? Make sure when you walk into that family gathering, you have a statement on your wrist. We're talking luxury timepieces. And if you're going to be out splashing around in the water, think about a dive watch. Maybe a Blancpain 50 Fathoms, the granddaddy of all modern dive watches. Of course, there's pre-owned and vintage Rolex in that category. There's Omegas in that category. My point is, whatever kind of watch you want on your wrist this holiday, you can get it at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, specifically the Village District location in Raleigh, which is the location that includes the Fox & Bailey Watch Shop as well as the Omega Boutique. So stop in, check them out. It's all at Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location in Raleigh, where they have every single watch from your wildest dreams. Just let them know you heard about it from me, Tim, right here on 99.9 The Fan. Tim Donnelly here for Men's Health Month. We are catching up with Dr. Jonathan Chappell, orthopedic sports medicine surgeon from Wake Orthopedics. Doctor, when is an injury bad enough? How do you know that you should go see an orthopedics specialist?
It's a great question, and it's something that both providers and patients often struggle with. If you are in activity and you have an injury and you feel a pop or you have immediate swelling, immediate pain in a joint and you can't bear weight, such as lower extremity, like an ankle or knee, or you notice a deformity, like in a wrist or a collarbone, these are circumstances you should probably see someone at an urgent care like Wake Orthopedic Urgent Care or at Wake Med to seek help right away. If it's something where there's some mild swelling, some irritation of a joint for a few days after an event, you can often give it a period of rest, take some anti-inflammatories, do some stretching, and many times they'll resolve on their own.
For answers to questions like that one and much more about men's health, please visit wakemed.org.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there is a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wake County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Coming up at 4:15, we will have a Monday Sound Off. 4:15 Monday Sound Off right here on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Max Gorin producing the show today. Tim taking the week off. It's a holiday week. The holiday being NHL free agency, Max. And I guess 4th of July on Saturday as well.
Yeah, the free agency less of a holiday and more of actually it's when we need to be working. Like, so Tim slacking off this week.
I know.
Taking time off.
Max, we were here last year when we signed Nikolai Ehlers.
Yes,
we were.
That wasn't July 1st, though, right? Wasn't that like July 3rd or something?
It was July 3rd. We were here when the Andre Miller trade happened.
It was like 2:55 in the afternoon when the Ehlers news broke, and we were doing this show immediately after. So it was just a straight into it. That was crazy. And then it's all we talked about the entire show.
All the prepping and planning that we did for that entire show was just completely thrown out. It's like, you know what? See the entire doc that we have? Just delete it.
Does anyone know if that worked out, that signing? 70-point season and point per game in the playoffs and en route to a Stanley Cup. Did that work out in the first year or no?
Max, not only did that work out, but the Keandre Miller sign and trade also worked out quite well. And you know what? That's what will kick off winners and losers.
This team will never lose again.
We're pivoting here a little bit because there's not really anything going on in the college sports world right now. So as opposed to doing winners and losers at 3:45 like we normally do on a Monday, we're going to bump it up here to this time slot, normally where we have the Dean's List. Winner, Dean's List. Losers, speaking of Keandre Miller, all you Rangers stooges out there, that when I sat in this chair where I was sitting a year ago when the Carolina Hurricanes did a sign and trade for Keandre Miller, and I said this Canes team got better. I said there's a skating ability, there's some offensive upside, and I said that there even is a level of physicality that, well, let's see, the Carolina Hurricanes lacked the year before. Never said he was the most physical guy in the world, but his size, his speed, there's a little bit extra physicality. Again, nothing over the top. He's not a thumper. And I had so many Rangers fans in my comments on this channel, 99.9 The Fan, which you, by the way, subscribe on 99.9 The Fan. On YouTube, all the social medias at 999 The Fan. You can watch right here on a YouTube live stream. Was going back and reading some of those comments, Max. There's so many people that are just like, you know what, just go ahead and eat crow. Because remember that happened a year ago. Us getting Keandre Miller.
Yeah, whenever
amazing.
Whenever Carolina's trading for a player, just go ahead and assume that they're about to have the best year of their career. Or they're about to turn around, unless it's Mikko Rantanen.
Exactly. Well, Mikko Rantanen. Which, by the way, like, I get it. I get that. But also, props on Eric Tulsky for pivoting. But yes, all the people a year ago that told me I was dumb, that Keandre Miller would not help this team win, kick rocks and flip-flops. Y'all are losers. We have receipts. Max, winner, Brazil soccer. They came back and won 2-1 in the knockout stage today, which I guess unfortunately makes Japan a loser in this regard, but Brazil with a 2-goal second half to come back and win, including the game-winning goal in extra time, or stoppage time.
Yeah.
So it was like 90 plus 5?
Yeah, 95th minute
Awesome.
winner. What a game to start off the week. I guess we had the Canada game, too. That was actually a good one. It was low scoring. It was 0-0 basically all the way through, but then Canada got the winner in added time yesterday, too, in the first game of the knockout stage. So.
I know, which, by the way, Canada, winner. First time ever for Canadian men's soccer team to go on to the knockout of round of 16. First time ever. That's awesome.
We're going to see a lot of those this year with the new format, more teams in. There's an extra round of knockouts, so not the strongest competition. Not to take anything away, I think before this World Cup, Canada had only scored like 1 or 2 goals in the World Cup ever. So big win for them going to the round of 16.
So, yeah, shout-outs to our friends to the north. United States, Max, I believe it's 8 o'clock Wednesday night.
Wednesday
United
against
States.
Bosnia and Herzegovina.
We should win that game, right?
They heavy favorites.
Come on. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Also, another winner, Max, the United States ball hockey team. You ever play ball hockey, Max?
Only in my driveway all the time growing up.
Exactly. So basically what ball hockey is, it's almost like you're just playing hockey on your feet like you did in gym class, or like Max or anyone growing up did it in the street or in their driveway, ball hockey. The United States national ball hockey team, world champs. Anything hockey right now, the United States is crushing it. Women's Olympic gold, men's Olympic gold. Now we're ball hockey. Ball hockey world champions, Max. Didn't know it was possible, but we're world champs in ball hockey. Max, you have any winners or losers out there?
Yeah, winner Victor Hovland.
Yes, right.
Playoff of the Travelers Championship. They actually had to tee it back up this morning after Scotty Scheffler forced a playoff by making about an 8-foot putt on the 72nd hole last night. Had to get suspended due to darkness because they had a rain delay during the day yesterday. Come out this morning, 9 a.m. Both players hit pretty good approach shots into the playoff hole. Victor Hovland makes his putt, and unfortunately, Scotty Scheffler misses on the low side. So Victor Hovland, in front of a lot of the Norwegian fans that have been up in the Northeast for the World Cup, got the win in the Travelers Championship. Feel bad for Scotty Scheffler, but I think he's fine racking up all these kind of top 5 finishes that he's had this year, and he's stacking a little bit of prize money there as well, even though he's not getting all of the wins that he has been over the last couple of years.
I know this is something that probably won't happen, but I think it'd be fun. I love match play golf. I think it's really cool. Match play where it's not just like your overall score, it's like just who won the hole. I think they should do it where you play 3 holes, minimum. Play 3 holes, match play minimum as a playoff. And then if it's even after 3 holes, you just keep playing until someone wins a hole. That's it. I think that would actually be really cool. I don't know if you're in on that, Max, but I'm thinking that would actually be
it's effectively right now, and there are some holes or some events. I think it's the PGA Championship that does a 3-hole cumulative playoff, which is not match play, but most of these events are quote-unquote match play, but it's just like 1 hole. So when somebody wins the hole, obviously you win the playoff. I like that the PGA is going to match play for the postseason, or I don't know if it's just the championship or the full playoffs. But that's part of the bunch of changes that they announced last week that they're going to bring to the PGA. More match play is always good, especially since they got rid of the regular season match play event in Austin a couple of years ago. So more match play is always a good thing. It brings that kind of intensity that you get to see in the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup, and that's always a good time.
The reason why I say do match play, but at least do minimum 3 holes, just because I don't know. I think it just gives you play 72 holes of golf. Let's play 3 more, as opposed to just 1. I don't know. That's just how I view it. That's just me. All right, that's winners and losers here on 99.9 The Fan. The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Scoren producing the show. Max, we got news on Friday evening that Carolina Hurricanes star forward Seth Jarvis had off-season shoulder surgery to repair an injured shoulder he's been dealing with for about 3 years now. Now, you hoisted the cup. It's a good time to get it done. But what does that mean for one really young player in the Canes system? We'll discuss that next here on 99.9 The Fan.
The world's biggest soccer tournament is here. It has arrived, and you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. Tim Donnelly here for Kalshi, reminding you that you could have traded on every match in the opening rounds, the group play, and that obviously continues into the knockout rounds and all the way up to the championship final. Matter of fact, right at the beginning, the United States was trading at less than 2% to win it all, and that would have been a massive payout if you had traded at that time. Because a reminder, On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So if you traded in on the United States at that time, you could trade out now well before their World Cup is over. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code TIMD to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, trade on the beautiful game. 18 plus, restriction and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. Gambling problem, call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
When sleep isn't working, everything feels harder. Your health, your patience, your focus, even your relationships. I'm Megan Giggling with Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Too often, people are told to wait months or even years just to talk to a sleep specialist. But untreated sleep problems don't wait. At Parkway, care begins within weeks with home sleep studies and fast, coordinated support so people can move forward instead of staying stuck. Better sleep changes everything.
Parkway Sleep, your fastest path to better sleep. Start today at parkwaysleep.com. Sound sleep, sound health.
Hey man, been to Sharky's lately?
Yeah, man, I was there last night with you.
Oh, yeah. The wings and the burgers are killer. They have so many beers it's hard to choose, you know?
I know. You know, they got trivia on Tuesdays and luck of the draw darts on Sunday, man. I love them both.
Yeah, I love that place, man.
You know what, man? I think Sharky's may be the best bar in the world.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Let's go grab a beer.
Sharky's at the corner of Delta Lake Drive and Durham Road. Open 7 days a week.
Fire up your 4th with the North Carolina Courage. July 4th, bring the whole family out for a night packed with professional women's soccer, plus a 4th of July block party with samples from local breweries, barbecue, and plenty for fans to enjoy. Get tickets at nccourage.com.
So we got some pretty big news regarding the Carolina Hurricanes back on Friday evening during the draft. Canes general manager Eric Tulsky was asked during his media availability on Friday, and I was there at Lenovo. By the way, it's the Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorn producing the show. So I was there at, not the Lenovo Center, but actual like Lenovo, the company office out there, RTP in Morrisville. So that's where the Carolina Hurricanes had their draft war room. I was there on Friday night, some other media members, and Eric Tulsky spoke to the media after the end of the first round, which, by the way, the Carolina Hurricanes did not draft in the first round. They traded out of that pick. Also, water is wet. Eric Tulsky was asked if any players had any offseason, because guys deal with injuries during the course of the season. Now, health is a relative term in sports. In terms of health in the Stanley Cup, Carolina Hurricanes were about as healthy as a team could be. Nikolai Ehlers missed one game, Game 4 against Ottawa. Alexander Nikishin missed 2 games, missed Games 1 and Games 2 against Philadelphia. And then the last 3 games of the Stanley Cup final, Freddie Anderson was nicked up, but okay, you had Brandon Bussey waiting there in the wings. That's it. In terms of games missed, that's it. And then, I mean, Freddie Anderson wasn't even listed as an injury during that time. We just found out about that officially afterwards. So Tulsky was asked if, in terms of health of players, anyone that had to get surgery in the offseason. He said there were a bunch of guys that were dealing with stuff, but in terms of guys that got surgery, Eric Robinson had knee surgery. About 6 to 8 week recovery. Which puts him at, the surgery, by the way, has already happened, already taken place. You're looking at about the beginning to middle part of August for Eric Robinson. Training camp's mid to late September. So you're anticipating that he should be 100% ready to go come training camp. Now, there still might be a little bit of rebuilding the strength of the knee because, again, surgeries, you have to regain strength. But Eric Robinson should be good to go. The big one was the news of Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis, as we all know, a few years ago, I remember correctly, max 3 years ago, dealing with a torn labrum. Also, remember correctly, had some rotator cuff injury as well in his right shoulder. Well, he finally got surgery on that shoulder. The recovery time, 4 to 6 months. Eric Tulsky did say he hopes it's on the shorter side of that, but You never know. When it comes to surgeries, you just don't know. Now, it could be one of those things where Seth Jarvis feeling really strong, rehabs, and it just goes really, really well, and he's back in by the time training camp starts. But also it could be one of those things where it might not be until January 1 if it's more on the 6-month side of things. Eric Tulsky was asked why Seth Jarvis waited to get the shoulder surgery done now.
Shoulders are tough. Once it goes, you can keep aggravating it and it can limit what you can do, and it's tough, and eventually it needs to be repaired. You can strengthen it and try and get through it, and he did that for a while. Last year we had a deep run. If we had missed the playoffs last year, he probably would this last summer, I would guess. But we had a deep run, and he started looking at the timeline and didn't want to miss a big chunk of the season. And then we got to this year and had another deep run, and at some point you just need to do it. You can't be limited for the rest of your career, and you start thinking maybe we're going to have deep runs every year. I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and get it done.
Bite the bullet, get it done. Eventually that bill was coming due. And I get why Seth Jarvis didn't want to get it done last offseason, because with the recovery, obviously he wanted to be part of the Olympics. That's a big, important thing to him. And I'm happy that he was be able to represent his country in the Olympics. I think it's a big thing. But the thing that Eric Tulsky said about Jarvis right there was, you can't be limited your whole career. I was like, man, limited. He's had 3 straight seasons where he's put up 66, 67 points, 33, 34 goals during that stretch. Now, granted, this season he missed 10 games. The year before that, he missed a few games as well. It's like, man, imagine what Seth Jarvis is going to look like when that shoulder is healed up and fully ready to go. Now, I don't anticipate him, again, if he's out even 4 months. You're talking about July, August, September, and October. Season starts at the end of September. Okay, if he misses a month, he probably isn't going to put up 33 goals and 35 assists or whatever it is, simply just because of games missed. But imagine the Seth Jarvis that we're going to get in the future when that shoulder of his is actually strong. Because let's be honest, we all saw him playing in the Stanley Cup final and just in the playoffs in general went, man, that shoulder really is bothering him. Like, he just couldn't lean into a shot. It's your right shoulder, right-handed shot, just really couldn't lean into it, you felt like. Now, he was able to lean into it enough in game number 2, scoring that game winner in overtime on a power play, but you could tell the shoulder was hindering his play. And the fact that he was still able to be effective while dealing with the shoulder injury for what he's done in the last few years, it's pretty baller by him. And I can only imagine what he is going to be once that shoulder really does strengthen up when it's repaired, as opposed to just rehabbing it. So this was something that was needed for Seth Jarvis. Now, I asked Eric Tulsky, because Eric Tulsky was asked about, well, how do you fill that role in the short term? Do you go outside the organization? Do you look within? And he said, yeah, those are certainly options that we have. We definitely have young guys within the organization. And I asked Eric Tulsky straight up. I asked him straight up, could Bradley Nadeau fill that role? Because let's say Seth Jarvis is out on the longer end of things. 6 months. You're basically missing October, November. I asked specifically, I said, can Bradley Nadeau be that guy to fill in? Here's what Eric Tulsky said.
For sure it's an option, right? He's been great in the A. He had sort of 2 call-up stints this past year, and, I thought the first one he looked like someone who was acclimating for the first time. The second one he looked like someone who was acclimated, and so you could see the progression. He absolutely will be in the conversation if we need a call-up at the start of the year. I think it would be a good opportunity for him to get some runway. Nothing is promised to anyone, so there's no guarantee that we will need someone, because who knows what the roster will be, and there is no guarantee who will win the spot. Maybe we get to camp and see, but he absolutely looks ready and looks like someone who can and might and probably will some point get a shot.
Max, correct me if I'm wrong. When Tulsky told me that on Friday, when he said that, and I say me because I asked him that question. When he said that on Friday, and you listening to it right now, I got the impression of it's his to lose. If Bradley Nadeau, it's his opportunity. If Seth Jarvis is out for an extended period of time, if Bradley Nadeau isn't traded as part of a bigger deal, it's his shot. It's his shot to prove himself, Max. This is his shot. Everyone says, like, this guy's going to be an NHLer. Okay, go prove it.
Yeah, unless there was a trade in the works to get an established top 6 forward, which I don't think is necessarily their top priority this offseason.
No, I don't think so.
Bradley Nadeau is definitely the top guy on that list for guys that are in the prospect pool or have had a little bit of experience that would be just an easy plug and play to fill in that role for Seth Jarvis. I mean, I'll admit, it was like preseason this past season, and in his short appearances in the NHL, like, I thought Bradley Nadeau probably still had a little bit to work on in terms of his complete game.
Yep.
We know he's got that great release and can be a good offensive playmaker, but I thought he had a couple turnover issues, maybe wasn't the strongest on the puck at times and winning battles, but I was pretty impressed seeing some of the tape of him over the course of the AHL season, into the playoffs, into the Calder Cup, and I think it's pretty much a no-brainer that if you've got an open winger spot that you need to fill while Seth Jarvis is recovering, that Bradley Nadeau is that guy that they can slot in there.
To me, it's plug and play. Because if you look at the way the roster is right now, again, just based off how things ended in the Stanley Cup, your other 3 lines are perfectly intact, and this guy is projected to be a top 6 winger. He's not a guy that you can, like, all right, let's just put him on the 4th line and he can just kind of grind out minutes and stuff for you. That's not what he's built to do. He's built to be a top 6 forward. And one of the things that impressed me about what he's added to his game was he's added penalty killing to his game as well. So he can, again, just right-handed shot, can just go fill in right in that role. And then guess what? If he proves that he can be an everyday NHL player, well, then guess what? You forced yourself into the lineup. And then you make the Carolina Hurricanes have a tough decision. Again, a first-world problem, as Tim Donnelly would say. But as the Carolina Hurricanes look at themselves right now, again, if Seth Jarvis is out for an extended period of time, Bradley Nadeau, man, hey, buddy, it's your chance to go prove yourself. It's your chance to go prove it. Doesn't matter how you get your shot, as long as you get it. And if you have it, run with it. But here's the flip side of this, Max, as we continue talking about the Carolina Hurricanes here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show. We keep hearing Bradley Nadeau's name as a potential asset for the Carolina Hurricanes in terms of a possible trade. If they wanted to go get a Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender from the Winnipeg Jets, or if they wanted to go possibly trade for Zach Werenski, the defenseman from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Well, guess what? Those are premium players, and you're going to have to use premium assets. Well, now with the Seth Jarvis injury, does that limit you from possibly making a move? Like, does that hold you back from possibly making a move? Because there's always the worry about, even after a surgery, there's a complication from the surgery, or maybe the shoulder isn't as strong as you think, and you take a bad hit, and guess what? You kind of re-injure it. Well, you need to have someone that's able to step in and ready to go. Now, that could be a Felix Unger-Sorum, who's also a highly touted prospect from the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know if he's capable of being that top line guy, but someone that could possibly skate in the NHL for you as well. Drafted the exact same draft class as Bradley Nadeau. So we'll see. I'm curious if that would maybe cause some hesitation by Eric Tulsky to say, like, well, I don't know if I can trade Bradley Nadeau right now for the simple fact of he might be in our opening night lineup. But this is where the balance of it all comes in, Max. If there's something that makes your team better, not just for the first couple months of the season, but for the long term, you still make the move, in my opinion. If the move's out there to still be made, you make the move. But if Nadeau's on this roster, all signs right now are pointing for Bradley Nadeau to be on the roster at the start of the year with a chance to show everyone that he's an everyday NHL player. It feels like he has that chance. And injuries are going to happen. We saw Carolina Hurricanes during the regular season deal with a myriad of injuries, especially on the blue line. And guess what happened? Yoel Nystrom
proved he could be an everyday NHL player. He's got a 4-year contract as a result of it. Charles Alexis Legault looks like a guy that could be an everyday NHL player. Now you're showing what your depth can be in your organization, and this is where Bradley Nadeau can show that, hey, guys, guess what? I belong too. And again, injuries are going to happen. Carolina was extremely fortunate in the playoffs. In terms of their skaters, only missed 3 games. Now, you earned that by sweeping Ottawa and sweeping Philadelphia and beating Montreal in 5. Now, you earned that. But everyone that's claiming for Bradley Nadeau to be on the big club, he might get a shot to prove himself. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorham producing the show. Coming up at 4:15, we will have a Monday Soundoff. You want to sound off on the John Carlson trade for the Carolina Hurricanes? Maybe it's a Bradley Nadeau. Other things Carolina Hurricanes related. Maybe you got something World Cup soccer related. Maybe it's something Carolina Panthers. Maybe it's something about your Charlotte Hornets, Max. Monday Soundoff coming up at 4:15. But speaking of the Carolina Panthers, they're actually getting some more respect around the league right now from their peers. Football at 4 next.
It's bow time. Ordering Bojangles Bow Bites is the easiest choice you'll make today. The bite-sized hand-breaded chicken is fried to crispy perfection, making it perfect for sharing, snacking, or when you're on the go. Just don't call it a nugget. The only hard part is choosing from our 6 dipping sauces. We've got a sauce for every kind of craving, from our creamy house-made ranch to our sweet and spicy peach honey pepper sauce. It all depends on what kind of mood you're in. Head to your nearest Bojangles today and discover the dippable, shareable, and craveable Bow Bites. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to head on over to Bojangles to try Bojangles' new Bow Bites. Bite-sized, hand-breaded chicken fried to crispy perfection. On the go, they're perfect for snacking or sharing. Dipped in your favorite sauce like creamy house-made ranch or peach honey pepper, they're the perfect way to satisfy your craving for flavor and value. Try Bojangles' new Bow Bites. It's an easy choice to make when it's bow time.
Most families get their financial advice in pieces. A financial advisor here, a CPA there, an estate attorney somewhere else. Everyone means well, but nobody's talking to each other, and those gaps can work against you. Trajan Wealth's family office brings wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning together, not as separate conversations, but as one coordinated system built around your life, your goals, and the people who matter most. Ours is a true family office, not one that refers you out because it's convenient. This kind of dedicated collaboration used to require a 7-figure net worth, but here's the game changer. Trajan kicked that door open. Trajan advisors are fiduciaries, always obligated, always honored to act in your best interest. Unlock your Trajan family office at TrajanWealth.com or call 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Eagle Leasing Storage Studio. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Canes light the lamp here.
Midday Monday, temperatures in the 80s. Highs today 89 to 91, but very humid, uncomfortable at times. But we'll see maybe a stray shower or storm, chances lower than yesterday. Overnight lows upper 60s, highs mid-90s Tuesday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 305 points today to 52,182.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorham producing the show today. Tim will be back next week, folks. Don't you worry. Max, as we go here on to Football 4,
presented by John Heiser Chrysler Dodge Jeep on 99.9 The Fan. Our presenting sponsor here of Football at 4. The Carolina Panthers, Max, are finally starting to get recognized for what they've been doing as a team in terms of their growth. Last year, if I remember correctly, Max, the Carolina Panthers had no one in the NFL Top 100. The NFL Top 100, by the way, is a selection process by the actual players in the NFL themselves, where the players, each team around the league, actually write it on physical pieces of paper. Well, they write down 1 through 20 who they think their top 20 players are in the NFL, and there's points assigned to it. If someone is written as number 1 on a list, well, that player gets 20 points, 19 points for number 2, so on and so forth. To the 20th person on their list gets a single point. All these are collected by the NFL. They get all compiled together. Points, numbers, totals are assigned. And then whoever has the most points, guess what? That is what the players say is the number 1 player of the NFL, and they just rank all the points all the way down to 100. We saw last week, Max, that Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers quarterback, was 98th. 98th in the NFL. Now, I don't know how many ballots he was written on, how many people had him at like number 10, number 5, number 1, or number 20. I don't know. We're not given that information. But Bryce Young was written at number 98. If you think that number was a little high for Bryce Young, myself included, that's okay. If you think that's too young, you have a right to think that as well. But last year, the Carolina Panthers had no one in the NFL Top 100. Derrick Brown was announced as player number 90 today, Max. Derrick Brown, which, by the way, Derrick Brown was not on last year's NFL Top 100, which makes sense because he missed the 2023 season with an injury.
Or 2024.
I'm sorry, 2024 season. My apologies.
2023, he had a big year.
He had a big year because he had and it had over 100 tackles that season.
As the team went 2-15.
As the team sucked. Awful. They were so bad. They were so bad in 2023. So bad. So he missed the 2024 season, which, again, I think kind of shows there's a little, like, recency bias, even when players are selecting this, because you look at what Derrick Brown did in 2023, like Max just mentioned and corrected me here, with the over 100 tackles. It's like, well, apparently none of that carried over about in terms of what he is capable of as a player, because he didn't make it on the 2025 list. Because, again, he only played the one game in 2024. But I digress. But Derrick Brown voted number 90 in this year's NFL Top 100. We'll see what the rest of that shakes out. But, Max, I can think of two players. I can think of two players that are currently on the Panthers roster, not named Derrick Brown or Bryce Young, that I think we could actually see on this NFL Top 100 list. The two names that popped into my head were defensive back J.C. Horn and wide receiver Tedarrell McMillan. Those are the two guys that popped up into my list. And I'm always curious to see, Max, how players view, when it comes to these types of lists, how players view what, let's say, like, for example, like what a safety does compared to what an interior offensive lineman does. Because to me, it's so hard to compare those two positions in terms of their value, because one of them has actual true, like, qualitative, like, stats, right? Or, I'm sorry, quantitative stats. You can actually quantify interceptions and tackles and passes defended. Whereas an offensive lineman, it's kind of say, like, well, if there was a pressure allowed, was that on that offensive lineman or the one that's standing next to him? You're like, it's hard to actually really quantify. So I'm curious to see what the NFL does in terms of at least the players that play this game, how they view those kinds of things. And we see Derrick Brown in terms of what he can do in terms of as being a run defender. And he's one of the best interior defensive linemen at stop and run in the entire NFL. Some could argue that he's the best at stopping the run. If someone were to make that argument, I ain't going to stop you. But when he starts adding the pass rushing element to his game, Max, I think this is where we're seeing Derrick Brown start to elevate. And then we saw this defense as a whole with Derrick Brown on the field, how much better it was. Now, granted, the defense last year for the Carolina Panthers just had better personnel as a whole. you had a relatively healthy J.C. Horn all last season. A couple concussion things that popped up, which actually does concern me. Trayvon Merrick added to the mix. You drafted young guys like Nick Scorton and Princely Umamielen. So you brought other guys into the fold as well. You signed Turk Wharton, even though he was injured for half the season and he missed a bunch of time. And he's going to miss more time. But I think Derrick Brown being out there on the field just goes to show you how much of an anchor he is for that defense. And it's those kinds of things where it's the term that's used oftentimes, Max, when it comes to measuring this or talking about players is the force multiplier. Is that when a certain player is out there on the field, it allows a defensive coordinator to maybe do more things in terms of the coverages that they want to use, or allows them to be more aggressive in certain areas. And it just allows other players that are around on the field to be able to do more things. It frees them up a little bit more. Because if Derrick Brown's out there on the field, it allows a guy, now for example, like Devin Lloyd, who's lining up behind him as a linebacker, to do more things in terms of makes him more free, because I got to worry about blocking Derrick Brown in front of me because I can't get to the second level when Derrick Brown is right in front of me. Or Jalen Phillips. Hey, Jalen Phillips is over here lined up on one side. I got to worry about possibly chipping and double teaming him on a pass rush. Well, what does that mean for a guy like Nick Scorton, who now gets just the one-on-one treatment, and he can just beat his guy one-on-one? Derrick Brown allows, because assuming he's going to get double teamed, I'm curious to see what a guy like Lee Hunter is capable of doing, the second-round pick out of Texas Tech. So there's that force multiplier aspect of what Derrick Brown brings to the team. And then also what Derrick Brown, being on the interior of that defense, well, now as a defensive coordinator, I should have a little bit more freedom to pressure with other guys. Like I can bring Devin Lloyd with a blitz off ball, trusting that now J.C. Horn can lock up a guy one-on-one as well. So again, having these star players in these key areas, again, that force multiplier that's out there. But Derrick Brown, to me, is deserving to be in the NFL Top 100. When the NFL Top 100, the names started coming out, 3 names actually popped into my head about who should actually be in the NFL Top 100. One of them was Derrick Brown, one of them was Tetairoa McMillan, and the other one was J.C. Horn. Those 3 guys. And I think that's fair for what this Panthers team is right now. I think that's fair. Now, you're not like name a good team in the NFL, Max.
Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens are going to have Matabuke, their defensive tackle, even though I know he's been injured and nicked up. But Matabuke, Kyle Hamilton, their safety, Mark Andrews, the tight end. You're probably obviously going to have J.C. Horn in the mix. I'm not J.C. Horn. Lamar Jackson in the mix. Derrick Henry's going to be in the mix as well. Like you could see 5 or 6 guys easily on that team being in the NFL Top 100. That makes sense. Carolina, a team that finished 8-9 last year. Yes, they got into the playoffs, but I think 3 players is fair. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but I think 3 players in the NFL Top 100 for the Panthers is a fair thing. If they get 4, I actually would be surprised.
I mean, if you wanted to take away, actual performance on the field, right, which is what the point of this is. But if you average team should have a little over 3 players. Obviously, you can't have a fraction of a player on the top 100, but 32 teams in the NFL, everybody had 3 players. That would be 96. So that kind of puts you in the conversation of, all right, you're kind of like an average team. You've got 3 top 100 talents. I think there are arguments to be made for a couple Panthers that could get up to 4, but based on Derrick Brown being the one that's at 90, again, probably is just going to be maybe one more, and that would probably be J.C. Horn. But there are other guys that could have an argument, like Jalen Phillips had a good year, Devin Lloyd, All-Pro. I guess even Mike Jackson had a really good year, just maybe is not as well known around the league.
I guess when I was looking at players, I was basing it off of last season. I guess when you add Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips into the mix, because they haven't played for the Panthers yet, so you're bringing in. But I guess it's also a good sign that you're bringing in top 100 level players in the NFL onto your team. I actually didn't think about it from that perspective. I was looking at guys that were carrying over from last season is what I was looking at. So I didn't actually really think about adding in terms of Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips into the mix. Like, that's on me. Again, I was thinking about more or less just guys that carried over from last year. But Devin Lloyd, with the season that he put up last year, wouldn't surprise me if he was like 75 or 67 or something along those lines. Jalen Phillips, I'm curious about as well, how other guys around the team or around the league view him too. That's a good point, Max. I honestly didn't take that in consideration. That's on me. If there was a player, we've seen Derrick Brown coming at 90. If we see a player that's currently on the roster, maybe didn't play for the Panthers last year, who would you think makes the NFL Top 100 that hasn't been announced already?
It'd probably be Devin Lloyd based on his season last year. And maybe around the league they take that was a bit of a breakout. I know we had a conversation Tim did on this show. It was either last week or the week before, talking about how we're not so sure if that last season was a breakout or just a blip on the radar for Devin Lloyd, but and then, I mean, just based on the contract money, I could see it being Jalen Phillips as well. So I think it can go either way. Honestly, I don't know necessarily if either one will necessarily make it. I think if you want to have a conversation about like who the more underrated player is, probably be Devin Lloyd, just because the linebacker position doesn't get that same kind of payday that you get as an edge rusher. But,
yeah.
And then in terms of Panthers that were here last year, again, I think Mike Jackson still kind of slept on. I think his game he played against the Rams in the playoffs was like one of the better games I've seen a corner play in the NFL. And not that I'm sort of analytical expert when it comes to football, but he was doing everything he could in that game to limit Puka Nacua, and when he wasn't on him, then that's when he was able to make some noise.
Yeah, he did. He definitely made some noise. That's Football at 4, presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep on 99.9 The Fan. Get off your keister and head to Heister. Max Gorman producing the show. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Before we get to a Monday Soundoff, Dennis Cox here real quick for my good friends over at Law Tigers. One thing about the weather sometimes, as we all know here in the state of North Carolina, I mean, trust me, I've been 100% grateful that we've been getting rain, but as we all know here in the state of North Carolina, as the summertime hits, the afternoon thunderstorms, they can drop at any moment. So as a motorcycle rider, you have to make sure that you have an escape when you're out there on the road. If you're riding down the highway, can you get to an underpass? Maybe there's an opportunity out there if you're riding around downtown. Can you slip into a parking garage real quick to let the storms pass away? Do everything you can in your power to make sure that you have an escape when you're out there on the road in case bad weather all of a sudden hits. But if you're injured in a motorcycle accident and it's not your fault, make sure you contact Law Tigers at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS even before you get in touch with the insurance company. Insurance companies, they want to give you the least amount possible, whereas Law Tigers, they're riders too. They understand what your bike is worth, what your gear is worth, but also they understand the risks out there on the road. They are part of the motorcycle riding community. Your case evaluation is always free, and you don't pay a dime until your case settles. So give them a call, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm. So Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. It's Monday, Max. It's time to put the call out. 919-860-5FAN. 919-860-5326. It is time for a Monday Soundoff. 919-860-5326. Your call's next.
The Adam Gold Show.
Don't buy this line that Carolina only won the Cup because Florida was too broken to challenge for a third straight title. The Hurricanes were the best team in the league. They were way better than they were the previous year. And I know we can't prove it, but I think Carolina would have beaten Florida if the Panthers were standing in their way. Don't worry what Florida did. Make yourself better.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam with Rush Hour Karting here. The last time the Canes came as a team and raced was 2006, the year they won the first Cup. They came again this year, 20 years later, won the Cup again. Rush Hour Karting brings out the best in people. Congratulations, Canes! We're Stanley Cup winners 2026. Woo!
If you have a 2, 3, or 4% mortgage rate, don't refinance it. You don't have to, but you can still get cash out of your home. Introducing Loan Pronto's zero-cost equity loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. That's right. With Loan Pronto, you can get all the cash you need without touching your first mortgage and without any fees. One local homeowner just got $100,000, paid off all their credit cards, paid off their existing HELOC, remodeled their kitchen, and saved over $1,500 per month. It gets better. There's no hard credit pull up front, usually no appraisal, no long drawn-out process, and listen, no closing costs. You may be able to even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now. Leave your low-rate mortgage intact, but get the cash you need in as little as 2 weeks without paying closing costs. LoanPronto.com. See how much you can get right now. Call 919-381-1760. That's 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. For qualified homeowners, equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show. You hear that? It's time for a Monday Soundoff. 919-860-5FAN. 919-860-5326. Your chance to call in right now. By the way, call in if you get a chance. Chime in. But if the phone lines are busy, keep calling back. You'll get a chance to get here on the air. Let's actually go down to Tom in Fuquay-Varina. Tom, you're up first. You want to talk some Carolina Hurricanes? I don't know about you, but I'm still basking in the glow of the championship celebration from just over a week ago. Tom, what say you about the Carolina Hurricanes?
Well, yeah, I'm still loving it, man. I'm still on cloud nine from seeing them win that cup. It seems to me the only person that's not seems to be Tulsky, man. I don't want to criticize him because he's done such an amazing job, but I'm just a little perplexed by this Carlson move. I realize he's a good player, but it seems like Tulsky's in a rush to try to improve the team. We have plenty of time to do that, moving through next season up to the trade deadline and all of that. I think if it's a guy like a Hellebuck or a Lewinsky, they're kind of worth it. You don't want to miss your opportunity to get a guy like that. So when I hear they're available for trade, I say, okay, yeah, it's worth a shot to try to get him. But I just don't understand why he's in a rush to replace Nikishin. I thought Nikishin did pretty decent this year. Everybody just says, well, he made mistakes. Well, everybody, Slavin made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's playing perfect. But for a rookie, he played pretty darn good. And I just think he's rushing it. Carlson's a little old for my taste, man. For that type of money to get a guy that's, 36, 37, whatever he is, and replace our one young defenseman that has the potential to be a top guy. I love Nystrom, but I don't think he's got that same potential as Nikishin. So I'm just a little baffled by it, and I'd like to hear your take on it.
Sure. Okay, so, Tom, we talked about this earlier in the show, and I appreciate you calling in. But I guess the thing that, Tom, that's about Carlson is that this is an opportunity for Eric Tulsky, Tom, to go after a player without giving up an asset that's currently on the team. So that's the reason why you trade for his rights, is because if you're able to sign John Carlson to, let's say, just 2 years, while he still has plenty left in the tank. Yes, he's on the latter part of his career for sure, but he could still play. And I think the thing that Eric Tulsky, and just, again, Eric Tulsky said, look, he said this on Friday, I got to make the team better. We always have to improve. Basically saying everyone else around us, we have to assume everyone else around us is getting better. We can't just be complacent. So you go after a guy like possibly John Carlson, and you don't have to worry about giving up a player currently on your roster to sign him. So that's the reason why you make the trade for his rights. Whereas if you're going to go get Zach Werenski, that's going to cost you Alexander Nikishin, or maybe even more. Now, there's a possibility out there. You never know. Like, they might keep Alexander Nikishin, again, depending on the price point. Maybe Shane Gostisbehere is the one that gets traded, because Shane Gostisbehere is going into the last year of his contract. Maybe he's the one that gets dealt. We don't know. We assume Nikishin because he's the guy that generates the most buzz, and that's what Eric Tulsky himself even said on Friday, that he gets the most buzz going. Tom, trust me, I get where you're coming from. It's also on the team to understand that or figure out, well, what is the long-term upside of Alexander Nikishin? He has a lot of great physical tools. Can he do it with this team? Because he's not going to play above Keandre Miller. He's not going to play above Jacob Slavin. And as of right now, he's not going to play above Sean Walker. And there's still Jalen Chatfield on the team as well. So there's still a lot that's ahead of him. I appreciate the call. I really do. Let's go back to the lines. 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326 for a Monday Soundoff. Let's go to Rashad in Raleigh. Wants to talk a little bit of Charlotte Hornets. Rashad, do you like the move of Miles Bridges heading out the road?
I actually don't mind.
You don't like it, or you don't mind it?
I don't mind the Miles Bridges trade.
Okay.
I'm a little baffled about LaMelo.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple things. I really do want your take on this one. Do you feel like we should have kept the team intact for at least another year or at least half the year and made some moves?
All right, Rashad, you're breaking up here, but I get the impression of what Rashad was asking here of should they have kept things together at least for another year? So, Rashad, to answer your question, I actually thought that going into the around draft time, I said, it feels like Miles Bridges, a trade for Miles Bridges made sense at the time because he's on an expiring contract. Basically the move that they made yesterday, which, Max, can we fill the people in on the details of the move was made yesterday with Miles Bridges with the Phoenix Suns?
They sent Miles Bridges a 2029 first-round pick, which was a least favorable of like 3 or 4 teams, and I believe a second-round pick as well. Mm-hmm. They sent that to Phoenix in exchange for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 unprotected first-round pick.
Now, if that's the only trade that they made, I would have been 100% for that. But to Rashad's question about should they have kept things intact, I actually was surprised that they traded LaMelo Ball, especially when you look at the way I think Rashad was getting to, and I think I agree with Rashad in this regard. The way that they finished the last half of that season, it felt like LaMelo Ball finally had the pieces around him for him to be his best in terms of creating opportunities for teammates around him to shoot or for them to shoot, whether it's Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, or whomever they decided to bring in. And he himself creating his own shot. Those Con Knipple and LaMelo Ball put up a ton of threes this past season. And it felt like you owed it to yourself by just the way that team played. And you could tell LaMelo Ball was buying in with what Charles Lee was doing. Now, was he a perfect player? Far from it. Far from it. But he's still a young player. And it felt like he was really buying into what Charles Lee was doing. So I thought the move to make was to move on from Miles Bridges. Basically the deal that Max just laid out that just happened yesterday. To me, I was expecting that to happen anyway. But the LaMelo Ball one, I thought they should have ran it back, at least maybe up till the trade deadline.
I think with the LaMelo thing, I think it was really like, and they could have gotten more, but I think it was a sell high move because
I think so too.
If LaMelo had another ankle injury next year, plays 40-something games, all of a sudden his value's starting to trend more towards Ja Morant, and the Grizzlies are in trouble right now trying to offload him because he's seen as a negative asset around the league because injuries have really derailed his career.
Well, I think it's more than just the injuries for Ja Morant.
Yeah,
there's that too. There's that as well. Let's go back to the lines. Monday Soundoff, 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. Let's go to Sean all the way up in Virginia, my home state. Sean, wants to talk a little Carolina Hurricanes. Sean, what you got, my man?
Yeah, so real quick. First thing, I was actually in Raleigh for Game 5. I was in class at State, and I didn't get to make it out of the Lenovo Center, but that whole city was awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I at least got to see a part of it. But I really wanted to call. I was hoping Tim would be on the line, too. I'm going to let y'all name my dog I'm picking up Sunday.
What?
I'm going with Stalzy, Stanky, or Jarvis. Y'all are the tiebreaker for me and the wife, so it's a Great Pyrenees.
Okay, all right, so you said Great Pyrenees?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Great Pyrenees. Now, a question, how old is the dog? Is it a puppy? Is it a mature dog? Like, how old is the dog here?
It's a puppy, and to preface it with, I'm getting Stall tattooed all over my leg Sunday, so I'm a Stall guy.
Okay, so you're getting Stahl tattooed. Like, are you getting like his actual face tattooed on you?
So I'm getting him the diving shot from Game 4.
Okay.
Above that, it's him and Brenda Moore hugging, and then above that, it's Brandon Bussey holding the Stanley Cup.
Okay, so puts my Canes tattoo to shame. We'll get into that here in just a little while, Max. All right, so the finalists here, we have Stalzy, Halsey, and what was the other one?
Stanky.
Stanky.
Stalzy, Stanky, and Jarvis.
Stalzy, Stanky, and Jarvis. For a Great Pyrenees. That's a tough one.
I feel like Stanky is because that's like accurate most of the time too when you're talking about a dog.
Well, there's a little bit of that as well. But then that's the case. That's a tough
big
one.
Dog, though. Stanky's a little guy.
That's the thing. Stanky's a little guy. Seth Jarvis isn't a big guy either. We're talking about Great Pyrenees here. Now, but Stanky did play like a Great Pyrenees. That's the thing.
He did indeed.
He's got that dog in him. He's got that dog in him. I might have to go Stanky on this one, Max. What say you?
See, I was thinking Stanky too.
You think it's Stanky?
It's just so fitting for a canine.
I think it is. I think Stanky.
And
I think it's a good one.
Junkyard dogs.
Yeah, it's part of the junkyard dog line. I think Sean. I think we've settled this. I think we settled on Stanky.
Perfect. All right, I appreciate you, gentlemen.
Absolutely, Sean. Thanks for calling in. And by the way, send us pictures of the tattoo. Send us pictures of the tattoo. I want to see this.
I mean,
tattoos.
That's quite a complex setup he's got there.
Real quick before we get to Michelle and Raleigh here on the Monday Sound Off, here on the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. For those watching on YouTube, which by the way, subscribe 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. I actually said before the season, Mac, I said it back in October. I have the receipts. I said it. I was all in on the Canes this year. And if they win the Stanley Cup, I'm getting a Canes tattoo. So actually just on the outside of like my left forearm towards my wrist, got a Carolina Hurricanes logo. Shout out to my guy Greg up there at Bad Fun Company up in Youngsville. Got this done on Saturday. He's done all my tattoos. So I got this done on Saturday. I'm a man of my word.
I've never had one, but I am interested in getting something to commemorate the Stanley Cup win.
Max, let me tell you, once you get one, you're going to want another. Just saying. We'll figure out a tattoo for Max. We'll get where and all that kind of stuff. We'll figure that out another time. 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. We have Michelle in Raleigh wants to talk the NHL draft at Carolina Hurricanes. Michelle, did you get a tattoo commemorating the Canes Stanley Cup?
No, at least not yet.
Okay,
but
keyword
that
yet.
was a conversation at work today for sure.
Hey, you know what? I'm 100% for it. As someone who got it, I'm for it. But yes, Michelle, what you got?
Okay, I'd love to see that one day, but I'm a little put out that I stayed up to watch the draft, see the Canes number 31 pick on Friday night. I stayed up past my younger two kids who were in their 20s. They went to bed before me. My husband went into bed before me. And then the Canes get on the clock, and they trade their pick to Nashville. But the best part about that, and I'm just blowing steam, but the best part about it was the video that surfaced on socials of Jordan Martinook waiting to make the announcement, but sitting in his con stall T-shirt.
Yes.
He apparently didn't get the memo either that they were getting rid of their pick. But it's just a pain to stay up watching the boring NHL draft and not see your guys do anything with it.
I understand. I was at their draft coverage on Friday night, Michelle, so I understand your pain on this. But, Michelle, I want to tell you this. Props to you for staying up for it. That's dedication right there. That's dedication from Michelle. I really do appreciate it. Michelle, what were you hoping would happen on Monday night?
Oh, no, I dropped Michelle.
You dropped Michelle before? Max! You dropped Michelle?
When Tim does this, he drops the callers after, like, they say the first thing.
Am I 6'4" with red hair? No, not Tim.
Sorry, Michelle. You can call back if you want. I'll push you to the front.
See, I understand where Michelle's coming from right now. She's expecting things, and all of a sudden it just got ripped away. It's okay. It's all right, Max. You're a young man. You'll learn. So, yeah, but to Michelle, yes, I know a lot of people were hoping to stay up and see the Canes maybe do something. Honestly, a lot of people were expecting them to make a trade involving that first-round pick for, like, again, Zach Werenski, the defenseman from Columbus Blue Jackets, or possibly maybe even Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck. So a lot of us were anticipating that as well. I will say this, as someone who, the person whose name was on the show, Tim Donnelly, well, when he sits here, is that the best indicator of future results is past results. The Canes have only now made one first-round pick in the last 6 years, and that was Bradley Nadeau. That's it. They've been trading out of that first-round pick consistently. So this is just what they do. Now, in terms of the NHL draft as a whole being boring, that's another conversation.
It was at least a little more exciting this time with the Beaver first pick and the celebrity pickers, and they didn't do the weird like draft house thing interview, but the Beaver, man, that was that was so ridiculous.
It was just like, you know what? We're doing this. We're doing this.
I did like the trade alerts, though, like the horn and the big red light. That was cool.
That's cool. Like, they hit the horn, brr, big trade alert. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that because it was like the button was up there in the crowd, so you can kind of get some crowd interaction, all that kind of stuff with it. Like, that was actually really neat. That was the best part about the draft. But the one thing that just confused me, they're like, hey, we're in a cabin talking with the player that was just drafted, and there's like this fake fireplace that's going on in the background. I'm like, y'all, it's late June. It's the middle of summer. Why do we have a fireplace going? It's 100 damn degrees outside. That's my big thing. So, Michelle, I feel your pain. So Monday Sound Off here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show today. Let's go to Michael in Pikeville. Let's talk a little bit of John Carlson. Michael, how are you feeling about the John Carlson trade?
Hey, thanks for having my call.
Sure.
I just want to respond to the first caller about that and just expound upon it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually excited for the trade because it gives us a lot more than what people are thinking. Yeah, we can keep them. It gives us some depth to move some players, have some backups for
Did we lose Michael?
Trade.
Oh. Michael, you broke up for a sec. Will you go back and repeat what you just said? Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back here. Let's go and start over real quick on your Carlson thought.
Yeah, so I just wanted to call in about kind of referring back to the first caller and everything. Sure. He gives us a lot of depth as well, so it's more than just what are we doing? Are we signing someone? But kind of like what you said, it gives us we gave up pretty much a non-roster person for Carlson, so it gives us some depth in that and whatever trades we make the rest of the summer. But also, we could always use him as a sign and trade, gives us some options for that, especially if we're trying to move someone like Nikishin. We have that person already kind of to fill his spot, or Gostisbehere, like you mentioned. But it also, I think another move that kind of played into that was thinking about his offense side of the house. I mean, he's a very offensive, defensive player, and when we think about our penalty or our power play, we can have a blue liner on the power play, kind of maybe captaining it a little bit, but with that offensive mindset.
You know, I think, Michael, you bring up a couple good points. The fact that there's some versatility in the lineup. Also, you have 3 right-handed defensemen. I think that's something that we have to keep in mind as well, is that the Carolina Hurricanes and Rob Brind'Amour like to have lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty. And John Carlson, I think, Michael, you bring up a good point, the fact that there's some versatility in terms of where he could play in the lineup. I think the fact that he can quarterback a power play 1, he could probably play top pair if he need him to, but he can easily play second or third pair if necessary as well. I think that, to me, it's a good move, and you don't have to give up any current player in order to sign him. So, yeah, Michael, I thank you for the call. I really do appreciate it, my man. That's Michael down out there in Pikeville. Let's actually go to Austin and Raleigh, kind of build off on this. Austin and Raleigh actually wants to talk a little bit about Alexander Nikishin. Austin, what are your thoughts on the Canes' defensive core right now, and specifically Alexander Nikishin?
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the call, Dennis. It was great seeing you out and about on Saturday. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Absolutely, man.
As always. I guess not so much my sound off. I guess to pose you a question. If Nikishin was to be dealt, and Michael brought up a great point with Gostisbehere as well, what do you think is the landing destination for those guys? Do you think it's more so for Hellebuck, or do you think it's to pursue a different defensive option.
I think that if Eric Tulsky is going to deal a player like Alexander Nikishin, it's for a big fish. Now, by reports, Austin, the thing that apparently is hanging up on some people in terms of Zach Werenski, the defenseman for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who has 2 years left on his contract at just over $9.5 million a year, is that apparently Don Waddell, the general manager of formerly of the Carolina Hurricanes, now the Columbus Blue Jackets, has been kind of like reluctant to talk to people about Werenski. So now you're kind of pivoting a little bit in terms of what teams or what people are focusing their attention on right now. So, Austin, I feel like if they're going to deal in Nikishin, it's for something big. And I think that something big might be for a goaltender to pair with Brandon Bussi. Because the Carolina Hurricanes are going to need to have 3 truly NHL-capable goaltenders. Now, that third goaltender could be a Caden Primo, who's playing in the American Hockey League with the Chicago Wolves. That certainly is a possibility. They feel like that he could possibly play up. But I feel like as well is that I think the move that they could possibly be making, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, and Austin, Austin, if you're still there, I want your thoughts on this. I think the move is actually to go get Connor Hellebuck. I think the move is possibly to go get Connor Hellebuck, and it's going to take Nikishin, a couple of firsts, and probably another player currently on their roster, whether that's a Jesperi Kotkaniemi or a prospect like Bradley Nadeau, to go get Connor Hellebuck to pair him alongside Brandon Bussi as a 1-2 punch. I think that's the move, personally.
I 100% agree with you. I think having that, like you said, big fish back there in the net, we'll have little fish up front. I think dealing those guys is, because personally I think we're in win now mode.
Mm-hmm.
But before I get off, I'll pose you the question: what does that then mean for Mr. Frederick Anderson? Does he retire? Is he a part of a package deal? What happens with him? Appreciate you.
Absolutely, Austin. Good talking to you once again. Good seeing you this weekend as well, running into you. I think Frederick Anderson's time is up with Carolina. That's the impression I got from Eric Tulsky. What he said on Friday was that, if Freddie wants to keep playing, that's up to him. Maybe they might explore that at some point, but it feels like the organization has decided to, and I think this was all indicative in the last contract that he signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, the fact that it was just a 1-year incentive-laden deal. It just feels like Freddie's time is done, and Freddie has to answer the question for himself. Does he want to keep playing? He's 36, going on 37 years old.
Reportedly, he does. I think it was...
Which is fair, which is his right.
Elliot Friedman said, I think it was on Sportsnet 590, but I definitely read it today, that he had heard Frederick Anderson still wants to play.
Okay. And you know what? There's probably a team out there that said, that guy just had 13 wins in the Stanley Cup run. Can he come in, maybe not be the everyday, go 50 games during the season, but can he play 40 during the regular season, be a 1-2 combo, and then we can rely on him in the playoffs? We'll see. I'm curious on that. Thank you for everyone for the Monday Sound Off here on 99.9 The Fan. Max, you just told me something in my ear. We have some breaking news. Fire away, young man.
Yeah, big trade in the NBA. The Memphis Grizzlies are sending Ja Morant to the Portland Trailblazers.
Oh!
In exchange for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray.
No picks or anything involved?
It does not appear so. At least not in the first post from Mr. Shams Charania. Maybe he will follow up with details, but that's the first big trade for Tom Dundon as the owner of the Portland Trailblazers.
All right, so hit the details out one more time. So Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies going to the Portland Trailblazers again for?
Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray.
Okay. That's it? No pick swaps or anything? I'm sure we'll probably hear there was a second rounder in 2039.
The way the NBA does these things too, where it
So
they can add, they amend trades later to add pieces, and they've got trade exceptions and bird rights, and this is the
aprons
spiral into a longer conversation about why I really dislike the NBA's cap structure and how complicated it all is. But as of right now, it does appear just to be Ja Morant, Chris Murray, and Jeremy Grant involved in this trade.
Okay, so Ja Morant out the door from Memphis. That's where Cam Boozer just got drafted.
Yeah, they're going full rebuild mode. They got a lot of young players. They shipped out Jaren Jackson Jr. last season, now trading away John Morant. So a whole new crew of players coming in to take over and try to reset their franchise pretty much.
Yeah, and Cam Boozer being one of those core pieces as the third overall pick for that Memphis Grizzlies team. Okay, if there's any other details that pop out from that, we'll definitely keep you abreast of that. That's sure. Thank you again for everyone calling in on a Monday Sound Off. We definitely appreciate every single one of you. A lot of questions about what the Carolina Hurricanes can do, Max. Feels like the possibilities are endless. We'll have a little fun in terms of what some of these possibilities are for the Carolina Hurricanes that we know about, but what's floating around there possibly that we could think of, Max, that isn't being discussed? Next here on The Drive.
Hey, it's Tim Donnelly here for Kalshi, where the world's biggest soccer tournament has arrived. Yeah, we've all been watching, but they've been trading. You can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. That's every match, from the opening stages, which already have taken place, all the way through to the final. You can even trade on things like the individual awards. Who's going to score the most goals? I can tell you from experience that if you trade on somebody to score the most goals, watching them score is absolutely electric. On Kalshi, remember this, you are trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So you see your guy score, boom, you could trade out right there as the probability just boosted. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code TIMD to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI Kalshi, trade on the beautiful game. 18 plus only, restriction and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory gambling problem. Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
According to NFL players in the NFL Top 100 voting, Bryce Young is the 98th best player in the league, inside the top 100. Regardless of how this season goes, that's going to look really wrong a year from now. Either it'll go well, they'll pay him $50 million a year, he'll be top 50, or it'll look really, really ridiculous that he was ever in the top 100.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, man, been to Sharky's lately?
Yeah, man, I was there last night with you.
Oh, yeah. The wings and the burgers are killer. They have so many beers it's hard to choose, you know?
I know. You know, they got trivia on Tuesdays and luck of the draw darts on Sunday, man. I love them both.
Yeah, I love that place, man.
You know what, man? I think Sharky's may be the best bar in the world.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Let's go grab a beer.
Sharky's at the corner of Delta Lake Drive and Durham Road, open 7 days a week.
Keep the soccer excitement going with the North Carolina Courage on July 4th at 6:30 p.m. at First Horizon Stadium. Enjoy Supergirl Night, a 4th of July block party with local breweries and barbecue, and the unmatched energy of Courage Country. Premium inventory is limited, so reserve yours today at nccourage.com.
Overall, fans on the opportunity, and Nikishin hands it to Aho. He'll jump in on the rush. Jarvis with it. Nikishin. He scores! Short-handed! Alexander Nikishin releases a laser. And his first ever short-handed goal has Carolina 3-0.
By the way, if you miss any of the show, make sure you subscribe to the Best of the Drive with Tim Donnelly podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it, it's available there. Another place you can always access any of the show in case you miss it is the 99.9 The Fan app. It's free, folks. Apple Store, the App Store, Google Play. It's free. Just search 99.9 The Fan. Download it. It's free. We got podcast clips. There's news. There's video links as well. All right there for you. There's some special contests sometimes that we have available that's only available for those who are on the app. So, again, it's free to sign up for, folks. So make sure you check out the 99.9 The Fan app. Also, Max, we stream live right here on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page. So on YouTube, just search 99.9 The Fan or just search for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Yep.
And you'll find us.
And we're climbing up towards 25,000 subscribers. Make sure to hit subscribe while you're here. Been an active chat today. A lot of discussion about Alexander Nikishin.
Yes.
The trades that the Carolina Hurricanes may make. Maybe the potential signing of John Carlson this week as we approach free agency. So if you want to join the conversation, make sure to come in, hit subscribe. hop in the chat box and
Yes.
let us know what you're talking about, what you're thinking about here in terms of the Canes and the Hornets and the Panthers and whatever else you may have an opinion on.
We never know. Like for example, like Sean that called in from Virginia, is picking up a Great Pyrenees, the new dog, puppy, was asking us what we should name the dog. If you want to ask people in the chat, go do that as well. And the best part about all this, folks, is again that YouTube subscribe, it's free. So that's something we want to make available for you guys as well, is we want it to be free. And this is something that, again, a lot of Carolina Hurricanes fans love being in the comment section, and we enjoy that because it's nice for us to get a pulse of what fans are thinking when it comes to the Canes right now, especially for a team that just won a Stanley Cup, and free agency is right around the corner. Literally, it's Wednesday, and trades are already being made, and trades have been happening for the last week or so since the Canes won the Stanley Cup. And we're seeing this shift in the NHL where the way to acquire talent as opposed to waiting for free agency is trading for a player, whether they're currently under contract or you're just trading for the rights to sign them before they hit free agency, much like the Washington Capitals did with Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres. They just went ahead and traded for his rights. They agreed on a contract, 8 years, $10.5 million. So technically, Alex Tuch signed that contract with the Buffalo Sabres and then was traded to the Washington Capitals. So it's a sign and trade. That's how we're seeing teams acquire talent now. That's it. I mean, there's what the top free agent forward in this upcoming class is who? Victor Arvidsson? It's not moving the needle, really. Not that he can't help a team. He actually had a pretty decent season for the Boston Bruins this past year. I think he put up over 60 points. But it's not like what Nikolai Ehlers was last year. But even that was few and far between. Let's not forget how the Carolina Hurricanes acquired Keandre Miller. They were threatening an offer sheet last year for Keandre Miller with the New York Rangers because he was a restricted free agent. So what happens? Like, hey, we're going to possibly go after this guy on an offer sheet. Rangers caught wind of it. They realized the number, they couldn't match it, so they did a sign and trade. First-round pick, second-round pick, and Canes prospect Scott Morrow. I'd say that one turned out really well for the Carolina Hurricanes. But Eric Tolsky said this on Friday after the first round of the draft. That the Carolina Hurricanes team, it's up to him to still improve the team when they can.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of room to improve. I think the team, when it was playing its best, was incredibly hard to beat. And down the stretch and into the playoffs, they were playing very, very well. But there's always room to improve. There's always spots we can get better. Our goal is to build a team that is good enough that even when we're not playing our best, even when we have some injuries, we still can win the cup. This year we were fortunate. We were playing our best. We were healthy. Things went well for us. Need to keep taking steps to get to where we can be favorites year in and year out, no matter what comes our way.
By the way, that annoying cough you heard in the background, that was actually me back on Friday when Eric Tolsky talked. So Eric Tolsky saying, to me, saying the right thing, is that the term that he did use was like, can't get complacent. Just because you won a Stanley Cup doesn't mean that we can't get better, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't get better. Because let's not forget, when the Florida Panthers won their first Stanley Cup, you know what they did during the next season? They went and got Brad Marchand. They added to the team that just won a cup. Added to it. So there's no reason why the Carolina Hurricanes themselves can't add to their team. But when you make additions to your team, there's still a major thing you have to take into consideration. How does that affect the room? How do you make sure you don't upset the room with moves? Eric Tolsky talked about that on Friday.
As far as the chemistry goes, that is a challenge. We have a group of players who are all exceptional fits for the way we play, exceptional fits in the locker room. They're all very good people who are very comfortable with each other. And that is, something we have to be conscious of and cautious about. We still, in the end, want to bring in talent when we can and trust the culture that our coaches and players have built and our leadership group have built to bring people in and assimilate them and make sure we keep the positive vibes and good chemistry that we have. But we have to keep trying to add talent whenever we can.
That's the key balance. Yes, you want to add talent. There's a lot of good talented players out there, but are they the right guys for the room? Walking into that Canes locker room during the course of this season is probably one of the most tight-knit locker rooms I've ever experienced covering sports in my life. Just about how cohesive that room was. I said it multiple times, and I even asked players in the locker room about this, about how the roster that was on the ice, or just the roster that was out there during the Stanley Cup playoff, 19 of the 24 guys that were on the roster this postseason at some point played in the 2025 postseason for the Carolina Hurricanes. 19 of the 24. The only guys that weren't there in 2025 were Brandon Bussey, Nick Delorier, Mike Riley, Nikolai Ehlers, and Keandre Miller. Like, that's it. Everyone else, I remember actually asking Jalen Chatfield about this and about how tight this group was. And he said, we had to go through that pain together. And it brought everyone together. It's like, because they understood how close they were and what they needed to do. They understood it together as a whole. So when you add to the room, you have to make sure that you're not going to upset the apple cart. That's the thing. You have to make sure that the room and the chemistry is still strong. Now, that locker room will make sure of it because of the people that are in there. At least I believe so. Everyone seems to assimilate quite well. And this is honestly where I think a guy like John Carlson matters as well. John Carlson's won a Stanley Cup. He won it in 2018. So he understands what it takes to win in the postseason. He gets it. And for a guy like Carlson, he's trying to get to a spot where he can win again. Now, Max, I didn't see the John Carlson trade coming. Now, the John Carlson, they traded for his rights from the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim traded for him at the trade deadline from the Washington Capitals this past season. I didn't see that trade coming. I didn't see at the trade deadline, I didn't predict that the Carolina Hurricanes were going to go out and get an enforcer in Nick Delorier. I wasn't expecting that. No one saw the Mikko Rantanen trades coming. No one saw the Taylor Hall move coming. So it seems like as much as we're thinking about, here's what Carolina could be doing over here. All right, they're linked to possibly Connor Hellebuck, the Winnipeg Jets goaltender. The Carolina Hurricanes are possibly linked to maybe going after Zach Werenski, the Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman. And all of a sudden, wait, they acquired the rights to John Carlson? What else could they be cooking up? Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet, 32 Thoughts Podcast, which dropped this morning. Who knows what the Canes are doing?
I said it last pod. I'm going to say it again. I expect anything and everything from Carolina this week. Like, they are not satisfied. Not satisfied. They've got a lot of room. They've thrown the offer. They threw 2 offer sheet scares last year. Bouchard, which didn't work, and Keandre Miller, which did.
We didn't see the Keandre Miller thing coming last year either, Max. We didn't. Nikolai Ehlers was one that was expected or was suspected of happening, possibly. But that one I wasn't expecting. The Keandre Miller one. So, Max, what move are they making? Cale Makar, right? Is that what you said? You said earlier in the office, Cale Makar, defenseman from Colorado?
He becomes extension eligible July 1st. That's going to be, like a $15, $16, $17 million AAV? I mean, can Colorado afford that?
I don't know.
We've already done the Colorado route before with the Mikko Rantanen trade, and look, the first trade in that deal didn't really work out, although it did net the Hurricanes Taylor Hall. And then they were able to net quite a haul back on the second part of that trade when they sent Mikko Rantanen out. Obviously, a Cale Makar trade is not something that seems super likely, but look.
You never know.
It may not be the summer, but if we get through the season and, contract talks are difficult, the two sides aren't able to come to a resolution, It's out there.
It's out there.
Best defenseman in the world. He's also right-handed, which is I guess something that if John Carlson doesn't end up staying with the Hurricanes, is a little bit of a need. And they have left-handed defensemen on the Canes that can play on the offside as of now, but that's something. But, I mean, obviously the move that people kind of somewhat expect to happen, and maybe it won't be Carolina, is Zach Werenski. And I just want to say I'm all behind that.
Yeah.
He is awesome.
I think even if it's just for the 2 years that's left on his contract, even if it's just for the 2 years that's left on Zach Werenski's contract, I'm for it. 100% for it. It's going to cost you quite a bit. Maybe the move is you sign and trade John Carlson and Alexander Nikishin for Cale Makar. Who says no?
I think
who says no? Why not? And throw in like 4 firsts. Who cares?
Another player who's available, who we were actually talking about, I think, more last summer, but I feel like hasn't been linked to Carolina a lot so far this summer, is Jason Robertson. And it seems like there aren't very many places that he wants to play, maybe because the teams that have inquired, like Seattle and St. Louis, have not been the most competitive recently.
There's that.
Maybe Carolina is a point of interest for him. Now, making the cap number that he wants work would definitely take some maneuvering. But, I mean, this is a over point per game in his career player. I know he's not the fastest skater, but
no, he's not.
A guy with that level of talent and skill, I figured they could probably make it work. But I don't know. Like, in terms of the guys that are out there, like, obviously it's already been rumored that they've put an offer on the table for Connor Hellebuck. I'd actually disagree. I don't think that is the move that Carolina should be looking for to assign $8.5 million of your cap space to a goaltender who's 33. In his last 3 playoff runs, he's been, like, objectively quite bad. One of those runs had a goals against over 5. And I know he's a 3-time Vezina winner. And his team, the 3 times they went to the playoffs, though, like, the team, I think they were a top seed in the division one of those years. And it just crashes and burns in the biggest moments, which is absolutely not what you want out of a goaltender. It's like the opposite of Frederik Andersen this year. He had a rough regular season and turned it on like that when it got to the postseason. And plus, the way he's aging, he's 33 now.
Sure.
I just don't know if it's going to hold up. You've already got 2 goaltenders that are very solid, and one who just won the Stanley Cup with a shutout on the road in Game 6. Got 2 goaltenders already signed for under $4 million for next year. I say ride with that, and if you want a longer-term solution, that's something they can figure out next offseason.
Well, they were saying those similar things about Nikolai Ehlers in Winnipeg, and look how he turned out when he got to Carolina. So you never know. You never know. I think that gold medal game also turned a lot of heads when it comes
definitely.
to Connor Hellebuck.
He was excellent
for sure.
in that.
He was fantastic. So Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Dennis Cox here real quick for Loan Pronto. Folks, if you have a 2, 3, or 4% mortgage rate, don't refinance it. You don't have to, but you can still get cash out of your home. Introducing Loan Pronto's zero-cost equity loan. That's right. With Loan Pronto, you can get all the cash you need without touching your first mortgage and without any fees. One local homeowner just got $100,000, paid off all their credit cards, paid off their existing HELOC, they remodeled their kitchen, and saved over $1,500 per month. It gets better, folks. There's no hard credit pull up front, usually no appraisal, and no long drawn-out process. And listen, no closing costs. You may even be able to skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now. Leave your low-rate mortgage intact, but get the cash you need in as little as 2 weeks without paying closing costs. LoanPronto.com. See how much you can get right now. 919-381-1760. That's 919-381-1760, or visit LoanPronto.com. For qualified homeowners, equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan, starting 5 next.
Move your sports day forward.
Championships are rare, and you'll always remember June 14th, 2026, when rare became reality for you and the Carolina Hurricanes. Remember the feeling when the clock hit 0 and you high-fived the person next to you. The feeling, multiply it by 1,000,000. That's the collective I told you so from Caniac Nation to every non-believer.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It is Men's Health Month. I'm Tim Donnelly, joined by Dr. Katie Rains, urologist at Wake Med, having some questions answered. Doctor, why does someone get a kidney stone, and are there any prevention tips that you can pass along?
There are many reasons why someone would get a kidney stone, the most common being dehydration, because it's all about the concentration of minerals in your urine. So if you have less fluid, then you're going to have a higher concentration of things that form stones. Other risk factors are dietary things, like if you're eating too much salt in your diet or you have high animal protein in your diet. Another component of stones is something called oxalate, which is found in green leafy vegetables like spinach, nuts, chocolate, and berries. So really hydrating is the number one thing you can do to help prevent kidney stones, especially somewhere like North Carolina where it gets humid quickly and you may be sweating more than you anticipate. So staying well hydrated really is the best way to keep yourself without kidney stones.
For more information, please visit wakemed.org.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Eagle Leasing Storage Studio. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Canes light the lamp here.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Kat Campbell. Tonight should be mild for us, mostly clear with lows in the upper 60s. Tuesday, we're back in the low 90s with lots of sunshine, but the heat wave begins Wednesday. Highs reach the upper 90s, and we're in the triple digits beginning Thursday.
5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones closes the day up 306 points to 52,182. This hour of The Drive is brought to you by Law Tigers. Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call Law Tigers before you call your insurance company. Case evaluations are always free, and you don't pay a dime until your case settles. Law Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show. Let's dive right into it. Let's get right into the starting five.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hands it off. Johnson trying to bounce it outside. Down the line. Uh-oh. Watch out. See you later. Touchdown.
Chris Johnson, formerly of East Carolina University fame, played 4 years for the Pirates, was a first-round pick, I think it was 27th overall pick by the Tennessee Titans in the 2008 draft, because Chris Johnson played 04, 05, 06, and 07 in Greenville. Announced today that he has been diagnosed with ALS. He was diagnosed last year at age 39. He was born September of 85, so he's 40 right now, and he's about to turn 41 here in a couple months. Diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's shocking when you see that for somebody who was the fastest guy on the field and had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his NFL career, including a 2,000-yard season in his second year in the league with the Tennessee Titans. He was one of the best running backs in football when he played. And to see that as someone who, again, Chris Johnson's 40, about to turn 41 later this year. I just turned 40 a week ago. And I'm basically the same age as him. So I remember I was in college. I remember actually my senior year of high school, watching him play. My freshman year in college, I should say. Like, watching him play. Like, he was the same year as me. I was playing football in 2004 in college at Shenandoah University, and Chris Johnson was playing at ECU at the exact same time. So sometimes we would actually, on game days, because we would usually play night games at home at Shenandoah. So if, ECU was on, I remember watching him play. And then when I graduated college, watching him get drafted in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. So I was basically like growing up the same time as he was. He obviously just had a much better athletic career than I did. But to hear this news of Chris Johnson being diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, it really is heartbreaking. And it can be very sobering in that regard, especially, again, for a guy that's the same age as me.
Definitely.
It's sad. It really is sad to hear.
It was difficult to watch. It was announced via the Good Morning America interview with Michael Strahan, and to see how quickly that it has affected Chris Johnson. Like you said, he was diagnosed last year. Already in this interview, he's having to use like eye tracking software to be able to speak.
Yeah.
They recorded his voice after his diagnosis, so they could at least the computer generated speaking. It does sound like him, but they said he's not even able to hold on to a cup right now. So hopefully some sort of medical breakthrough or research will come through that will help him be able to recover. But it was very, very heartbreaking and it's sobering news for sure.
Yeah, it's sad to hear. So just, you think about him, you think about his family, because I think he has a couple of kids, and think about his wife and all that kind of stuff. So thoughts go out to Chris Johnson, and then because I know there's still people out there in the Greenville community out there out in ECU that are connected to him personally, and it's so you think about them as well in this time. So there's no easy way to move on from this, Max, but that's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
Bruh. Bruh is right. Former UNC basketball star with a national title to his name, Ed Davis. That's right, all the way back from the 2009 national championship team. He's among 6 defendants that were indicted today on charges related to an alleged sports gambling scheme that targeted at least 4 games from the 2023-2024 season, according to a federal indictment that was released today. Davis was arrested today. Ed Davis, along with co-defendants, a few other people, was arrested today for being part of, again, a sports gambling scheme in which, according to the indictment, Malik Beasley, former NBA player, lost millions of dollars gambling during his 9-year NBA career, but Malik Beasley also agreed to manipulate his statistics ahead of at least 4 games during the 2023-2024 season while he was a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, so that the co-conspirators could wager on the stats. That's according to the indictment. Again, one of those co-conspirators being Ed Davis. Now, Ed Davis was described and was known in the scheme as Beasley's, quote, gatekeeper. That's what prosecutors are alleging. And according to a text message from Ed Davis to Beasley back in December of 2023, said, quote, only way you can beat Vegas is sports betting. So again, Ed Davis was kind of, again, the one organizing all of this. Now, apparently, Ed Davis was owed money by Malik Beasley, so this is also part of a way for Beasley to pay down some of his debts that were owed to Ed Davis and so on. But those two actually were teammates together in 2020 and 2021. But federal prosecutors alleged that the scheme was also targeted, one of the dates was actually on February 27th, in a game between the Bucks and the Charlotte Hornets. So talk about stuff here that's happening in the state of North Carolina. Also a game on March 10th between the Bucks and the LA Clippers, and March 21st, 2024 between the Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets as well. Also a game back on January 26th of 2024 between the Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Malik Beasley told Ed Davis that he intended to underperform on rebounding on his stats in a game. So Max, Ed Davis, former UNC basketball star, national title to his name, pretty long NBA career, made nearly $50 million in his career, was the, quote, gatekeeper for this gambling scheme involving Malik Beasley.
Yeah, it's the latest in a string of these kind of schemes and scandals that have been coming out, and I don't think it's going to be the last one we see, unfortunately, just due to the convenience of sports betting now and the various ways people can kind of manipulate the system. Hopefully they find some kind of way to put these things to an end. And maybe they have. Who knows? But yeah, not the most exciting news for people who are fans of the integrity of the game not being compromised.
Yes. If I'm watching a game, I want to know that everything's kosher. Like, everything's good, that I'm watching a game that is, again, legal, that everything is running on the up and up.
I will say it wasn't just like prop unders on this one. Apparently there were also bets where Malik Beasley was manipulating his to hit his overs as well, like for rebounds. There's a funny excerpt that is going around online of them reacting to him getting a rebound with like 1.1 seconds left in the game, like going up for a contested rebound that didn't really affect the outcome of the game, and they were celebrating. So, I mean, at least he was trying hard in some of the games to try to hit overs instead of unders, I guess.
It's a wild time. It's an absolutely just wild thing. So, again, that just a big-time federal scandal just has a connection to right here in the triangle. That's number 3 here on the starting 5 here on the Drive with Tim Donnelly. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly. Max Score and producing the show. That was number 4. Let's get to number 3. All right, folks. Anyone very big on Major League Baseball coming to Raleigh or the Triangle area, or just saying North Carolina as a whole? I think that took hit a bit of a snag, I guess you can say, Max Scoren. So, leaders in the North Carolina Senate. So we're talking, again, the policymakers here in the state of North Carolina, the state Senate, the state House, or legislative branch here in the state of North Carolina. So leaders of the North Carolina Senate, this is according to Brian Murphy, our good friend over at WRAL, our sports investigative reporter, as well as Jack Hagel from WRAL News. Leaders of the North Carolina Senate have been pushing for a government-backed framework for a $1.7 billion Raleigh stadium, a plan that would support a Major League Baseball expansion bid. A legislative proposal was reviewed by WRAL News over this past weekend. But House leaders, so in the State House of Representatives, there's been opposition to public funding for the project that has kept the proposal out of the state budget for now. And by all accounts, Max, that it did not make it into the state budget that was passed. That's something that we have to keep a look at. So the proposal had called for $500 million in state funding, with the rest of the stadium money coming from local revenue sources, such as sports gambling taxes, personal income tax withholdings from players and performers at the facility, and the creation of a sports and entertainment taxing district. So, again, something that was self-funded right there. A 7-member North Carolina Baseball Authority appointed by state and local officials would finance, design, and own and operate the MLB stadium, the proposal stated. The authority, modeled after what the Centennial Authority does in regards to the oversee Raleigh's Lenovo Center, could enter a land lease for state-owned land to build the stadium and surrounding entertainment districts. So, it looks like, Max, that the funding for the stadium that needed to go through, it had support in the state Senate, it needed to get through the state House, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So, the funding, the money necessary to get passed in the state budget this year, or I guess for this upcoming fiscal year, looks like that didn't go through. So that puts a delay on the state of North Carolina, or even just Raleigh as a whole. Raleigh getting it, or the state of North Carolina as a whole. It puts a delay on that. Or even just anywhere in the state of North Carolina, whether it's Charlotte, you put it in the Triad, you put it here in the Triangle. It puts a damper on that,
Oh, yeah.
Not having that state funding.
Unfortunately, I think that the Triad missed their chance in the 90s when they were maybe trying to get the Twins, but then that stadium deal fell through. Something about the state of North Carolina, we just can't get any stadium deals done for baseball. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's people in state leadership that just don't care for baseball. Maybe they didn't make a high school team or something growing up or something like that, but pretty much unanimous support, at least in terms of the general public. They're like, yeah, I would support a baseball team. I'd like to see another professional team come to Raleigh, but guess the state leadership disagrees.
Well, at least part of it does.
At least part of it.
So the state Senate looks like there's bipartisan support because it passed through the Senate. That part just didn't pass through the House. Again, this is what policymakers, this is what they do.
Was the Stanley Cup visit not enough for them to see, like, oh, hey, these teams, we can get more trophies in here. We can, it's a good thing.
It's what it is. It's what it is. It's what it is. That's number 3, Max. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us.
Here we go. 12.9 left. Hornets are down by 3. White, turn around. Oh, yeah! Tie game!
That Kobe White turnaround three-pointer in that play-in game for the Charlotte Hornets was awesome. My fiance and I were sitting at home in the living room just watching that game, just going nuts. That game was so much fun, and it was so fun seeing the Spectrum Center in Charlotte just going absolutely bonkers. Could you imagine if the Charlotte Hornets were to make a run like the Carolina Hurricanes just had? Like, that would have been parade down there on Mint Street. You know what? I think if there's ever a parade in Charlotte for a Hornets or a Panthers championship, I think it needs to both start and finish at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And we got the checkered flags right there. Makes sense? Now, the Charlotte Hornets actually did make a move yesterday, Max. They traded away Miles Bridges as well as a 2029 first-round pick. They got some other stuff back from the Phoenix Suns. Max, why don't you break down the trade that just happened last night, involving the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, Miles Bridges, 2029 first, which is a least favorable out of a number of teams, including Utah, Cleveland, Charlotte, and there's one other, but a heavily protected first-round pick in 2029, going out with Miles Bridges as well as a second-round pick. In return, the Hornets are getting Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, and a 2033 unprotected first-round pick.
So now they have 2 unprotected first-round picks in 2033. One from the Bucks, one from the Suns. There are a couple sixth graders out there right now who have yet to hit puberty that are going to be Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, assuming they keep those picks.
Assuming they keep those picks. Assuming. But maybe those are picks that they could also use to go acquire something current, or maybe even the trade deadline, or whatever it might be. But that's just it's just so weird. Like, trading picks from 2033, this shouldn't be allowed. That's just my opinion. But anyway, the Charlotte Hornets made a trade. And then, Max, you actually broke this about, you mentioned the breaking news. John Morant got traded away from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Portland Trailblazers.
Yep, heading up to Portland in exchange for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. So, John Morant, the first kind of big acquisition for the Trailblazers with Tom Dundon as the owner, or majority owner, but making a splash, kind of a buy low spot there for him. Obviously, it makes a lot of money in terms of like actual dollars, but what they had to give up in terms of Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, definitely not going to hurt too badly for them to give that up and take a gamble on a guy who was like 27 points per game like 2 or 3 years ago. Now,
oh, yeah.
He's struggled with injuries and obviously all sorts of off-the-court drama and issues since then, but definitely a super talented player. They're going to see if they can tap back into that in Portland.
As they should. Because he is a talented player. No one questions his ability. It's just the availability regarding the injuries and then the off-court stuff, which has kind of been not so good for him. It's like you're just kind of waiting for like him to like just mature, you know? Just mature. That's all you ask. Just mature. Real quick, before we go on to our number 1, World Cup soccer update. We didn't have this included today, Max, but World Cup soccer update. Brazil beat Japan 2-1. They're on to the round of 16. Canada won yesterday 1-0. They beat, I can't remember off the top of my head.
South Africa.
Bafana. That's who it was. So they won 1-0. So Canada's on to the round of 16. Brazil's on to the round of 16. Paraguay and Germany are playing right now. The United States beat Paraguay. Paraguay's up 1-0. As we approach the end of the first, actually the first half just ended.
Just whistled for halftime. So
it's 1-0 Paraguay.
On the road to or halfway home to an upset right now. Definitely big underdogs in this game to Germany. So if they can get through another 45 and stoppage time, they can be through with a big upset into the round of 16.
Now, Japan was up 1-0 against Brazil, and then Brazil tied the game and then scored the goal in the game-winning goal in the 95th minute. 90 plus 5. World Cup's so much fun. All right, that's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
The one! One-timer. Score! Beautiful passing and a blast from John Carlson.
John Carlson, who played 17 years with the Washington Capitals and actually was traded from the Washington Capitals to the Anaheim Ducks at the trade deadline back in March, right now is currently a Carolina Hurricane. The Carolina Hurricanes traded for the rights of defenseman John Carlson, who won a cup with the Washington Capitals back in 2018. He's played 149 playoff games in his career, which, by the way, in the year that they won the Stanley Cup, 24 games played, he had 5 goals and 15 assists. 4 goals and 8 assists coming on the power play. He's a right-handed defenseman, which, by the way, he's bigger than you think. He's like 6'3", 215, 220. Like, he's not a small guy either. He doesn't play like a physical, heavy type game, but he's not a tiny guy either. The Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday traded literally the last pick of the 6th round, pick 192, as well as one of their prospects, Kyle Masters, whom, by the way, let's be honest, no one knows who Kyle Masters is. It's not a disrespect to Kyle Masters. It's just, let's be honest, call it what it is. So they traded that to Anaheim for the rights to John Carlson, who's set to become a free agent on July 1st. Here's why I like the move for Carolina. If you're able to agree to a term that you don't feel like is an overpay for John Carlson in terms of the actual dollars, then you just acquired a top 4 level defenseman, and you didn't have to give up a player currently on your roster to do so. And you didn't have to fight in free agency and to get into a bidding war to sign him. That's a plus in my eyes. Now, there are questions about what that can mean for players like Alexander Nikishin going forward. To me, in my eyes, if they do sign John Carlson, by the way, trading for his rights does not guarantee that it will happen. But if they do sign John Carlson, this is my opinion, that to me tells me that there's another trade on the horizon that includes Alexander Nikishin. And by the way, they're not going to trade away Alexander Nikishin for spare parts. They're just not going to do it. They're not like, yeah, we'll trade you Nikishin for like a first, a second, and like a mid-level prospect. It's not what they're going to do. This is not what they're going to do. Because what's the point in doing that? For a restricted free agent who's only 24 years old. That's not a smart move. One thing that if they also don't sign John Carlson, the Carolina Hurricanes, is that they feel like they can't agree to terms. You know what they can do tomorrow or even tonight? They can trade his rights to another team that is interested in signing him, like Tampa Bay or someone else, and you recoup the asset that you just traded away. Maybe it's, we get a 6th-round pick back. Cool. You just got a 6th-round pick. You traded a 6th-round pick for him. Or heck, you get a 5th. Hey, congrats. You just moved up. That's all a possibility. Also, other big news coming out of the Carolina Hurricanes this weekend. On Friday night, it was announced by Eric Tulsky, the general manager. I was there at Lenovo, the actual company campus, Lenovo, out in Morrisville, at their draft coverage on Friday night for the first round. Eric Tulsky did tell us that 2 players had to have surgery after the Stanley Cup. First one was Eric Robinson, the forward. Knee procedure, 6 to 8 week recovery is what he project, or is told was the projection for his recovery, 6 to 8 weeks, which you're looking at beginning of August, roughly around that timeline, early to mid-August, for Eric Robinson to return, which puts him a month ahead of when training camp really starts. So you expect him to be ready to go when training camp rolls around, which, by the way, begins in mid-September. The other big one was Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis finally had his shoulder he's been dealing with for a few years, finally had that repaired. And the prognosis on his return is 4 to 6 months. Now, Eric Tulsky said, obviously, he hopes it's on the shorter end of that timeline, but you never know. When it comes to surgeries, you never know if there could be complications in terms of maybe something didn't heal quite properly. Do you have to go in and have a second procedure? So there are a lot of complications that come with having a surgery, or potential complications that come with having a surgery. So you hope that for both these guys that they heal well, and they heal properly, and that they come back even stronger. Seth Jarvis being hurt 4 to 6 months, you're looking at, again, the procedure's already happened, but basically looking at July, August, September, and October. Season begins at the end of September is when games actually start. So you're looking at him missing at least probably the first month of the season. Now, if it's on the 6-month category, you're looking at missing November and December. So you're looking at possibly 2, maybe even 3 months of the season missed. October, November, December. There's a possibility that it's not until January 1 that we see Seth Jarvis. It's a possibility. Never know. It could be Thanksgiving. But this opens the door, and I actually asked Eric Tulsky about this, if we can bring up the quote about Bradley Nadeau from Eric Tulsky. I asked Eric Tulsky, because he said there's a possibility that someone internal can fill that role while Seth Jarvis is still recovering. And I asked Eric Tulsky, the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, Friday, specifically if Bradley Nadeau could fill that role.
For sure it's an option, right? He's been great in the A. He had sort of 2 call-up stints this past year, and, I thought the first one he looked like someone who was acclimating for the first time. The second one he looked like someone who was acclimated, and so you could see the progression. He absolutely will be in the conversation if we need a call-up at the start of the year. I think it would be a good opportunity for him to get some runway. Nothing is promised to anyone, so there's no guarantee that we will need someone, because who knows what the roster will be, and there is no guarantee who will win the spot. Maybe we get to camp and see, but he absolutely looks ready and looks like someone who can and might and probably will some point get a shot.
Seems like he's going to get every opportunity. Almost feels like it's his to right. Bradley Nadeau, it's going to be his opportunity to show that, hey, I can be an everyday NHL player. Feels like that's going to be the case. The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. That's the starting 5. By the way, Max Score and producing the show. Coming up, we have the numbers game. We need 2 contestants. Call right now, 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326 for your chance to compete in the numbers game and win a pair of tickets to see Neo and Akon at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on Friday, July 10th. Friday, July 10th. 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. We need 2 contestants for the numbers game. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Neo and Akon at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on July 10th. Numbers game next.
Hey, it's Tim Donnelly here for Mainer Service Company. We have a holiday coming up, and that means large gatherings of people, maybe at your house, which could be maybe testing the plumbing in ways that your plumbing's not used to. If there's any problems, don't worry, call Mainer Service Company. And that's not just for your plumbing. If your cooling system is overworked with everybody in town, or your electrical system has something going down, or obviously if this were winter and the heating system were going down, Mainer Service Company should be your number 1 call in all of those situations. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week service all across the triangle. That's all of Wake County and 50 miles in any direction from Wake County. You need to call Mainer Service Company. 919-361-0993, 919-361-0993, or visit them online at MainerServices.com. That's MAYNOR Services.com. Service you can trust.
Excuse me, you think you could spare a square?
Sorry, what?
A square on your smartphone.
Oh, yeah, for the 99.9 The Fan app.
Exactly. Listen to your favorite hosts, teams, and live sports action.
The Carolina Hurricanes are the best team in the NHL. They won the 2026 Stanley Cup.
And every podcast episode at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere.
Available for Apple iPhone and Android phones. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Adam with Rush Hour Karting here. The last time the Canes came as a team in race was 2006, the year they won the first cup. They came again this year, 20 years later, won the cup again. Rush Hour Karting brings out the best in people. Congratulations, Canes! We're Stanley Cup winners 2026! Woo!
14 years in prison for killing a young woman. A 15-year sentence for a crash that caused 3 deaths. 12 and a half years for killing a child and critically injuring her mother. All true stories, all caused by marijuana-impaired drivers. No matter what you tell yourself, if you feel different, you drive different. So, if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Experience legendary craftsmanship with an Omega timepiece. From the iconic Speedmaster that journeyed to the moon to the sleek Seamaster made famous by the world's most stylish spy, Omega watches are built for precision, adventure, and timeless elegance. At Bailey's Fine Jewelry in Raleigh's Village District, explore a curated selection of Omega timepieces that speak to your legacy. Whether you're starting a collection or adding your next chapter, find your perfect fit at Bailey's, voted best jeweler. Visit BaileyBox.com to learn more.
It is time to play the numbers games. The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Scorn producing the show. We have competing for the numbers game and a pair of tickets to see Neo and Akon at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on July 10th. We have Micah in Morrisville and Nick in Raleigh. We're going to bring both guys on and figure out who goes first. But before we actually figure out who goes first, Max was telling me that Nick in Raleigh, one of our contestants, actually has a Chris Johnson story, which, by the way, Chris Johnson, former running back from East Carolina, played a long time in the NFL, was a first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans, had a pretty strong career, had 6 seasons over 1,000 yards rushing, including a season where she had over 2,000 yards rushing. Actually had a story where he met Chris Johnson. I want Nick to tell this story first before we get started. So, Nick, I really do want to hear your Chris Johnson story before we play the numbers game.
Yeah, well, first, my uncle also died of ALS at 41, so it's crazy. But I was coaching boys lacrosse team, Breck, high school team out of Hopkins, Minnesota, and the parents put the money together, and we went for like a kind of a spring camp, and then we stayed at the Disney facility where they have all the fields, and played a bunch of games, and happened to see that the Tennessee Titans were also there practicing, and they were on the field next to us. And they were all kind of interested in lacrosse. And, of course, these high school kids were, amazed by being next to NFL players. And I'll never forget, I have a picture somewhere. Chris Johnson was the nicest of all of them, and he was the most fascinated in lacrosse. Like he said when he got home, he was going to buy a lacrosse stick. Like he spent a good 20 minutes trying to figure out how to pick up and throw a lacrosse ball. But he was just a real class act, and it's devastating to hear that he was struck by ALS. And I wish him and his family nothing but the best.
Yeah, for sure. It's heartbreaking to hear that someone who's 40, about to turn 41 years old, diagnosed with ALS. So, Nick, I really do appreciate you sharing that story. I really do. And as there's no easy way to transition into playing the numbers game. But, Nick, we got to determine who goes first here in the numbers game. And the way we do that here on every single Monday, determining who goes first in the numbers game, is we ask the same question. What was the highlight of your past weekend? But it's got to be sports related. Nick, we'll start with you.
That would be, I guess it falls over into Monday, but not only Scheffler making that 8-footer to take it into a playoff, but then Hovland making a birdie to win at the Travelers.
Okay, so we have the competition, Scheffler, Hovland at the Travelers. Max, any questions? Okay, let's actually go to Micah in Morrisville. Micah, highlight of this past weekend, my man, but it's got to be sports related.
I will go watching the World Cup, like seeing Cape Verde advance, and then obviously the U.S. getting into the round of 32 and soon to be round of 16. You can't beat the World Cup, so
okay,
definitely watching the World Cup.
Micah calling his shot. Max, any questions? No questions, Max. All right, Max, you determine which one you like. You like Nick's answer regarding the Travelers with Scheffler and Hovland, or you like Micah's answers in terms of what the U.S. getting into the round of 32, Cape Verde. And by the way, Max already calling the shot. They're winning Wednesday.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
I'm sorry. Micah called the shot, Max. My apologies.
Yeah. I was going to say they're playing Argentina and Messi on Wednesday, so I don't know if I love their chances. But both good answers. I mean, we're getting pretty blessed to have some good sports to watch in the midsummer here, where normally things can kind of drag on. We also got Wimbledon starting this week. Actually started today, which I'm super excited for. But hard to beat playoff golf, right? Playoff golf. So Nick, and maybe by virtue of trying to share some good vibes with his Chris Johnson story, we'll have Nick go first.
Okay, so Nick, you're going to go first. Micah, stay on the line. So we're going to go to Nick and Raleigh first. Nick, are you there?
I sure am.
Okay, Nick, I'm going to give you 4 categories. You got to choose one. The categories to choose from are NFL all-time Carolina Panthers, Major League Baseball 30-30 club. So these are guys who have had 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in a single season. NBA players who have played in the 2026 playoffs, or Hurricanes throughout history.
Let's go NBA.
All right, NBA. So these are players that have played in the 2026 playoffs. I'm going to give you the name of the player and the jersey. I'm sorry, the name of the player and the team. You give us the jersey number. You do get one pass, 30 seconds on the clock. Try to get as many as you can, all 5 if you can. Any questions, Nick?
I promise I'm going to lose. I'm terrible with numbers. But fire away.
All right. Well, you never know. You never know. All right.
Right.
Time will start, Nick, when you hear the horn. Tobias Harris, Detroit Pistons.
18.
Incorrect. Evan Mobley, Cleveland Cavaliers.
32.
Incorrect. Tobias Harris, Detroit Pistons.
11.
Incorrect. Evan Mobley, Cleveland Cavaliers.
28.
Incorrect. Tobias Harris, Detroit Pistons.
9.
Incorrect. Evan Mobley, Cleveland Cavaliers.
38.
Tobias Harris, Detroit Pistons.
10.
Actually, you're actually in the ballpark for Tobias Harris. He actually wore 12. Wore 12 with the Pistons.
Okay.
So you were knocking on the door because you did say 18. You said 11. You had a 10, like 9. So you were in the ballpark. Evan Mobley wore number 4.
Numbers.
Evan Mobley wore number 4. It's all right though. But you know what? By virtue of going first, if there is a tie goes to whomever goes first. Which, by the way, we've had a 0-0 tie before.
Oh, I've heard them before.
It's just like the World Cup.
Exactly.
Highly unlikely. Exactly. There you go.
Just like the World Cup. All right, Nick, stay on the line. We'll see if that goose egg holds on. All right, Micah Morrisville. Micah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Micah, the categories to choose from are, I think I know we're going to go with this one. NFL?
I can do the Canes one.
Okay, Canes, exactly. I knew exactly where you're going with on this one. Micah's played before. All right, Micah, you know the drill. 30 seconds on the clock. Trying to get all 5. You do get one pass. Micah, are you ready?
I'm good.
Time starts when you hear the horn. Alexander Nikishin, Carolina Hurricanes.
21.
Correct. Pyotr Kochetkov, Carolina Hurricanes.
52.
Correct. Mike Riley, Carolina Hurricanes.
6.
Correct. Jamie Storr, Carolina Hurricanes.
Pass.
Jack LaFontaine, Carolina Hurricanes.
58.
Incorrect. Jamie Storr, Carolina Hurricanes.
23.
Incorrect. Jack LaFontaine, Carolina Hurricanes.
66.
Incorrect. Jamie Storr, Carolina Hurricanes.
10.
Incorrect. Jack LaFontaine, Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, I got caught. I have no idea.
You got 3, so you're the winner. Congratulations, Micah. Congratulations. You won a pair of tickets to see Neo and Akon on July 10th. Jamie Storr, we chose a couple of obscure backup goaltenders for the Carolina Hurricanes. Jamie Storr wore number 1 right after Arturs Urbe did. So Jamie Storr just played 1 season with the Canes, wore number 1. And Jack LaFontaine, who had a very infamous, dreadful, 1 game for the Carolina Hurricanes.
6-0 loss to Columbus.
Yeah, it was bad. He wore number 80.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you missed on those 2. But, Micah, you got 3. You win. Congratulations, my man.
Thank you.
By the way, Micah, since you're here, obviously I know you're a massive Carolina Hurricanes fan. I know you're a big-time Canes fan. Do you like the John Carlson trade, potentially to sign him as a free agent? You like that move?
Yeah, I do a lot, as long as we don't give him $10 million for 2 years. But I think as a player, I mean, we need a right-handed D badly, so that's going to help. And I honestly think he would run our power play better than Shane did. So, yeah, I mean, he has a bomb 1T. He's proven it with Ovechkin running the power play. Like, I mean, he would be a crazy ad. We just can't pay him $10 million.
Yeah, that's the thing. The price is the big thing. You know, the price is the big thing for me. I also know you're a big Bradley Nadeau fan as well. I said this earlier. I don't know if you caught it earlier today, Micah, but I feel like that with Seth Jarvis's injury, your guy Bradley Nadeau might have himself a chance to play early on this upcoming season.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question to Tulski. No, I'm excited. I hope he puts in the work this summer. I mean, talk about the power play. He is a one-timer that we've never had. And so, I mean, he's going to have the opportunity. I just hope he can perform.
We'll see. He's added penalty killing to his game and stuff down there in Chicago as well. I think it's his chance to prove it. If he doesn't prove that he can stay with the Canes, he could prove that he could possibly play for another team as well out there. So, Micah, stay on the line. Max will get your information here coming up. The big congratulations to Micah. We are going to talk a little bit of Carolina Hurricanes coming up here in just a little bit. By the way, if you miss any of the show, make sure you subscribe to the Best of the Drive podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Apple, Spotify, you name it. The Best of the Drive podcast, so you take it with you wherever you go. Listen to clips from the show. Or another option for you out there is the 99.9 The Fan app. Just go to, if you have an iPhone, the App Store, Google Play if you have an Android. Just search the 99.9 The Fan app. It's free. You get video clips out there from our YouTube page. We have special contests that run on there as well. Other exclusive contests that we have just available on the app. There's different news that we put out there as well. Some, like, for example, Max Gorn will write some different articles. I've written some stuff on there as well. So, again, just more content available out there for you as well as fans here listening here on 99.9 The Fan. And the final thing for you as well, also, you can just subscribe to us on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. It's free. Just search 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. We're almost at 25,000 subscribers. And I think we might, I'll talk to the boss man in the corner office. Max, I think we should possibly maybe even give some stuff away when we hit 25,000 subscribers. We gave some stuff away when we hit 15. We gave stuff away when we hit 20. I think if we hit 25, this might be a good chance for possibly for us to give some stuff away.
Definitely give some stuff away. Maybe we could give somebody like a segment on a show or something.
Well, let's not tease something we might not do. That will be kind of fun.
I said maybe.
I said maybe. It's just maybe. But we should give something away for you at 25,000. So subscribe if you haven't already. Because guess what? If you subscribe, you can make sure you get all of our content popping up right into your feed, folks. That way you don't miss a single thing, including anything about the Carolina Hurricanes, which, by the way, Carolina Hurricanes, free agency starts on Wednesday. What moves could they possibly make? But before we get into that, Dennis Cox here real quick for my good friends over at Law Tigers. One thing that I unfortunately don't like about the summertime is that when it gets extremely hot, as a motorcycle rider, it gets pretty toasty when you're out there on the bike. Not just because of the motorcycle you're riding itself, it's just because you're just out there in the exposed hot air. So as a motorcycle rider, if you're going to go out there for a ride during these summer days, make sure you stay hydrated and make sure that you are eating properly before you get out there on the bike. Because guess what? If you're dehydrated, get a little bit lightheaded, if someone swerves in front of you, you're a little bit distracted, or not just a little bit distracted, but your reflexes are a little bit slow, well, guess what? That could lead to an accident as opposed to you possibly avoiding something. So make sure you stay hydrated, and also you build in times to rest out there on your rides as well. Make sure you do the smart things to take care of yourself physically. That way you can operate the bike properly when you're out there on the road. But if you are injured in a motorcycle accident, make sure you contact 1-800-LAW-TIGERS even before you get in touch with the insurance companies. Insurance companies, let's be honest, folks, they want to give you the least amount possible. Law Tigers, they're actually there to fight for you. They're part of the motorcycle riding community. They understand what your bike is worth. They understand what your gear is worth, but also they understand the risks of the road. That's why your case evaluation is always free, and you don't pay a dime until your case settles. So give them a call, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Actually in for this entire week. Max Gorin is producing the show today. Max, even though free agency hasn't started, that doesn't mean the flurry of moves in the NHL has been non-existent. Because they're out there, and there's a lot of rumors buzzing about what the Carolina Hurricanes could be doing. But it feels like there's something out there that we haven't heard about that Eric Tulsky might do. We'll discuss these possibilities for the Canes and what they could be doing ahead of free agency on Wednesday. Next.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. Join me and my co-host Chris Lee from WREL TV as our podcast Panthers Playbook rolls on this offseason, presented by Wake Orthopedics. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Carolina Panthers news as we break down the NFL draft, insights on free agents and prospects, plus all the inside information on the offseason. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Ever catch yourself hiding your smile in photos? If you're dealing with stained, uneven, crowded, or missing teeth, you're not alone, and you don't have to live with it. At Chapel Hill Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, Dr. James Ferguson and his team help patients transform their smiles every day, using treatments like veneers, dental implants, and so much more. Whether you want a small refresh or a complete smile makeover, your plan is designed just for you. Come see what's possible. Visit chapelhilldds.com to request a consultation today.
Hey man, been to Sharky's lately?
Yeah, man, I was there last night with you.
Oh, yeah. The wings and the burgers are killer. They have so many beers it's hard to choose, you know?
I know. You know, they got trivia on Tuesdays and luck of the draw darts on Sunday, man. I love them both.
Yeah, I love that place, man.
You know what, man? I think Sharky's may be the best bar in the world.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Let's go grab a beer.
Sharky's at the corner of Delta Lake Drive and Durham Road, open 7 days a week.
If you're exhausted, not just tired, but worn down, this message is for you. I'm Brandon Giggling, president of Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Across North Carolina, many people wait months, sometimes over a year, just to start sleep care. That wait isn't normal, and it isn't necessary. At Parkway, most patients are seen within weeks, with virtual consultations and home sleep studies that remove unnecessary delays. Sleep care shouldn't have to depend on how long you're willing to wait.
Parkway Sleep, your fastest path to better sleep. Start today at parkwaysleep.com. Sound sleep, sound health.
Little quick World Cup note. Germany has tied it up with Paraguay 1-1. Goal coming in the 54th minute, Max. 54th or 55th minute. But we have ourselves a 1-1 tie right now between Germany and Paraguay. Germany tying things up.
Will we see the third straight knockout stage game with a winner in added time?
That would actually be cool. Because Canada won yesterday in added time. 1-0 over South Africa. Japan was up 1-0 against Brazil earlier today. And then Brazil ties the game, and they score the game-winning goal 90+5, so in extra time. And then now Germany has tied things up with Paraguay. Paraguay initially had a 1-0 lead. So here we are. By the way, the same Paraguay, same country that the United States beat.
Handily, I might add. 4-1 in the first group stage game.
That was a pretty awesome game, by the way. By the way, United States back in action on Wednesday. That's an 8 o'clock game, July 1st. Hopefully get on to the round of 16. Let's go.
Yeah, and then they'll face, assuming they get through, they'd face winner of Belgium and Senegal. So that'd be a tough matchup. I know we don't want to overlook.
No, it's not overlook.
They are heavy favorites against Bosnia, but it's funny because like a week ago, everyone was looking at the draw like, oh, wow, U.S. might have this crazy easy draw to get to the semifinal. And now it's like, well, now they'll play maybe Belgium in the second round, and then they get Spain in the quarters, and then it would be like Argentina. So that kind of draw evaporated kind of quickly once the last group stage games got played. But you know what? U.S. side's still looking pretty good. So we'll take our chances with whoever we get.
Sounds like a bunch of upsets to me. Sounds like a bunch of upsets by the United States coming. I don't think we're winning this whole thing. But hey,
No,
you know
probably
what?
not.
Honestly, if they get to the round of 8, the quarterfinal.
Quarters is a big win.
That would be huge. And I think it'd be a massive step in the right direction for the United States. You know, you got to take things step at a time, right? You got to improve. That's what the Carolina Hurricanes did. Obviously, Rob Brindamore, the first year as a head coach, and back in 2018, 2019, getting to the playoffs was a big deal. It was. And then they won a playoff series against the Washington Capitals in 7 games. By the way, my favorite stat from that 2019 series against Washington, where the Canes won in 7 games. 4 games on the road in Washington, the Carolina Hurricanes led for a total of 0 seconds. In 4 games on the road in a playoff series, they had the lead for 0 seconds on the road. They still won the series. Pretty sure there's a sermon in there. But nonetheless, then they actually sweep the Rangers right after that, and they get swept by the Boston Bruins, it makes sense, right? It's learning how to win in these stages. It's part of the growth of a team. It's about building up to that point, if you're watching on YouTube, the graphic's still behind me, 2026 Stanley Cup champs. That's what they built themselves towards. That's what they did. Now, just because you won a cup in 2026 doesn't mean you're going to win it in 2027. Just ask that Washington Capitals team the Canes beat in 2019. Who won the cup in 2018? Washington. They beat Vegas in 5 games. Then they get to the playoffs the next year, and before you know it, they get bounced in the first round. Against a team that hadn't made the playoffs in 10 seasons? 10 years? So there's nothing guaranteed. You always have to be looking to improve yourself as a team. This is where the Carolina Hurricanes have been continued to be linked to everything. And let's bring up that Elliot Friedman clip, Max, if we can, talking about how the Carolina Hurricanes are just basically going to be involved in everything. And Elliot Friedman on his podcast, Elliot Friedman, part of Sportsnet, massive NHL insider. He's like the insider of the NHL. Part of Sportsnet up in Canada has a podcast with Kyle Bukakis they have a podcast called 32 Thoughts, and they released an episode this morning. They recorded it last night about don't be shocked about anything the Carolina Hurricanes do.
I said it last pod. I'm going to say it again. I expect anything and everything from Carolina this week. They are not satisfied. Not satisfied. They've got a lot of room. They've thrown the offer. They threw 2 offer sheet scares last year. Bouchard, which didn't work, and Keandre Miller, which did.
So yeah, don't be shocked about anything the Carolina Hurricanes do. I was surprised, Max, on Saturday when I learned that the Carolina Hurricanes traded for John Carlson. I was surprised by that. It's like, wait a second. What? Carolina Hurricanes traded for the rights for defenseman John Carlson from Anaheim? The John Carlson that was a longtime Washington Capital, that same Washington Capitals team that I mentioned that won the Cup in 2018. He was part of that team that was on the 2019 team that the Canes beat. Then last year in the playoffs that the Canes beat as well. John Carlson was on that squad. Long time Washington Capital, was traded at the deadline to the Anaheim Ducks. Now he's a pending unrestricted free agent. They traded for his rights, which we'll dive that, and we'll hear that conversation more coming up in overtime here in just a moment. But the Carolina Hurricanes went and did something that no one saw coming. A lot of people were anticipating that they would go after Zach Werenski, the defenseman for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who won the Norris Trophy for best defenseman in the NHL. More than a point-per-game player this past season. Also won a gold medal with Team USA. Fantastic on the power play as well. Do they go after him? Apparently they have a trade offer out there for Connor Hellebuck, the Team USA netminder, who had, if I remember correctly, 42 saves in that 2-1 win over Canada in overtime in the gold medal game. but also has 3 Norris trophies to his credit, also has a Hart trophy for league MVP. He has not 3 Norris trophies, 3 Vezina trophies for league's best goaltender as part of the Winnipeg Jets. Sure, he makes $8.5 million a year, and there's questions about what he can do in the playoffs, but those same questions were asked about former Winnipeg Jet Nikolai Ehlers. We saw what he did in the playoffs. He had 18 points in 18 games. And I also think as well as that if Connor Hellebuck gets into the right system with Carolina, he could thrive as a 1-2 with Brandon Bussey. Now, we've heard those things, but you never know. There might be a right-handed centerman out there that the Carolina Hurricanes are going after that we just don't know about yet. Possibly. Now, a right-handed center that can play in the bottom 6, that can take defensive zone draws, be helpful on the penalty kill. Canes could be cooking up something for that, too, that we just don't know about yet. We'll see. But John Carlson, we'll hear that conversation here coming up here as Overdrive approaches. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show today. That conversation about John Carlson, what can he bring to the Carolina Hurricanes? We'll have that conversation. You'll hear that conversation next on Overdrive here on 99.9 The Fan.
All the corner kicks, all the heart-stopping action,